There's way too much low-effort slop on YouTube these days, and I made this channel nearly 2 years ago as a sort of personal journal to share my journey of self-discovery with the world and to make the internet feel just a little bit smaller. This is a 3-hour compilation of topics that we've talked about on the channel over the last 6 months, ranging from dating tips to philosophy topics, to talking about Minecraft and how it's evolved, and even a bit of insight into the things that I've learned along this journey. So sit back, take a breather, and listen to 3 hours of life advice over some Minecraft 1.1 gameplay, and hop into the comments if you have any questions about this experience. We live in a world where it's pretty easy to feel terrible about yourself, both physically and mentally. Modern working culture is meaningless and soul-crushing, social media makes you feel inferior to literally everyone else on the planet, it's harder than ever to make friends, dating feels impossible, and our economic system seems to be collapsing, with the American dream fading into obscurity with every passing day. We seem to be in a worse place than our parents, everyone seems to hate each other, and it's impossible to plan for our long-term future because of how chaotic everything has become globally. How do we set ourselves up for success in the future if we don't know what the future is going to be like due to the increasing sense of global instability? With these circumstances, it's easy to feel terrible all the time. It's easy to fall into a trap where every day feels pointless, where each moment rolls into the next with no sense of progress or continuity between them. A trap that we try to disarm through overstimulating social media content, new video games, and the latest season of the newest remake of the show or movie that you've already seen before. And while we distract ourselves, we feel fine. But the second those distractions end, we go right back to where we were before and try to repeat the process. It's exhausting, and it feels like there's no real escape other than the temporary one that comes from the scrolling. How do we change our lives to make it so that this isn't the case anymore? How do we not feel terrible all the time? Well, it starts with your environment. If you go back throughout history, a majority of global humans lived in rural environments for almost all of it. In fact, it was only in 2007 that the global urban population surpassed the rural population, making it the first time that more people lived in cities than in rural environments. This meant that humans have spent about 0.009% of their history living primarily in cities. And cities are cool. You have access to more jobs, more people, more services, and you're far less likely to starve to death than our ancestors were. We have grocery stores and gyms and Uber Eats and trash pickup. Cities are amazing. But while they are great and convenient, they're also isolating, noisy, and chaotic. If you live in a big city, you have a constant buzz of background noise. Cars driving by, people blasting annoying music on the radio and honking their horns in traffic, upstairs neighbors stomping around all hours of the night like they're bowling or something like that, sirens, people talking, the list goes on and on. But while they are great, they're also isolating, noisy, and chaotic. If you live in a big city, you have a constant buzz of background noise. Cars driving by, people blasting annoying music on the radio and honking their horns in traffic, upstairs neighbors starting a bowling league on the floor at 3 in the morning, sirens, people talking, the list goes on and on. And as we've gotten used to our environments in these cities, we've learned to tune these things out. Living next to a highway becomes less and less obnoxious the longer that we're there, and those upstairs neighbors become mere background noise. Unless they're mine, because mine never know how to stop making noise. But the fact of the matter is that these things never really go away. Our brains aren't made to be constantly stimulated with noise and distractions all the time. Going back to how we used to live, things were quiet and relatively simple. Sure, we weren't fully isolated and living in complete silence, but the level of noise that we were used to hearing on a daily basis was far less than it is today. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything bad about technology and how we need to go back to living in the woods, because that's not my point. My point is that this noise is drowning out your ability to think, your ability to discover what you want, who you are, and who you'd like to become. And right now, I'm talking solely in the sense of literal noise, the kind that you hear with your ears. I'm not even getting into the mental clutter or overstimulation yet. That's coming soon though, so don't worry. My point is this. The first way to feel better mentally and physically is to be present, to get a little bit away from the constant noise and give your brain some room to think. You don't need to think about anything in particular or solve any problems. You just need to open up the possibility of having thoughts flow into your head. If you just spend 30 minutes a week in nature, whether in a park, in the woods, outside in your garden, or somewhere else a bit away from the noise and the chaos and the constant stimulation of other people, you'll begin to feel less overwhelmed. You'll begin to feel more present, and that constant urge that there's something else you should be doing or something else you should be thinking about will go away. You'll become human again, and the constant anxiety caused by being overstimulated in your physical environment will decrease. And you'll finally begin to figure out what else it is that's been bothering you and making you feel terrible, instead of spending all of your energy being distracted. When was the last time that you sat down in a room and simply thought, in complete boredom, letting your mind wander and seeing where it takes you? When was the last time you went on a walk without a podcast, a solace video, or music on? When was the last time that you drove in your car without listening to some form of mental stimulation? When was the last time that you were somewhere that was completely silent? Chances are, if you're like me, you don't get that very often. And all of the stimulation is clogging up your brain and making it so that you can't solve any of your problems. So you wake up every day feeling exactly as you did the day before and wonder why nothing is changing. But for things to change, you need to create space in a physical sense so that you can give your brain some breathing room and let new thoughts flow. From here, you may realize what else is bothering you, because just sitting in silence isn't going to make you feel better, but it is the first step. The second step is built off of the foundation of this one, and it involves clearing your mind from other forms of stimulation. We're constantly pulled in so many different directions by other people, other responsibilities, and other things that we think we should be doing. There are 100 new TV shows every week, 100 new games every day, and 100 billion new social media posts to check out when we get home from work. We have to text people back, we have to call our family members, we have to check our Discord, our text, Snapchat, the list goes on. Take a step back and think about these things that you're doing. How many of them do you actually need to do? Do you actually need to keep up with everyone's posts on Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and every other platform imaginable at the same time? Do you really need to scroll on TikTok, get off, scroll on Instagram, and then go on YouTube? What are you drowning out? Why are you hiding from your thoughts and trying to fill them with pointless content that ends up making you feel worse than before you watched it? There's no reason to be this stimulated, and there are so many different vices that we use to keep ourselves from being bored. So, once you get in a physical place of silence, try not to fill it right away with something else noisy. It defeats the purpose. If you spend a little bit of time in this clear mindset every single week, you can begin to figure out solutions to problems that you didn't even know you had, and feel like you're finally making some progress on making your life your own. And without all this overstimulation wasting your time, you're going to realize that you actually have much more free time in your day than you may have thought. Instead of feeling like the day slipped by, rolling into the next one without you really wanting it to, you'll see that you're actually more free than you thought you were. That space in your environment and in your brain causes you to be more present, and now you're confused about why you thought there was so much going on all the time, and you could fill the gap in your schedule with more meaningful things. And that's step 3. Finding meaning in the things that you do. We live in a consumerist world where we're taught to consume everything all the time. More content, more shopping, more TV and movies, and more YouTube videos, and blah blah blah. The time that you do spend outside of work is wasted on empty activities that provide no value to yourself or your self-worth. You may enjoy a TV show, but you're never going to feel good after watching it. You may feel bad, you may feel nothing, but you're never going to walk away from watching a TV show feeling proud of yourself. And to feel better, you need to find meaning in the things that you do in your free time, meaning that you aren't going to find by simply consuming. You need to create. You need to use that time to create instead of consume. I'm not saying that you need to become an artist or a musician or a sculptor or something extremely complicated. I'm not saying that you need to create content. I'm saying that you need to produce something that you see value in. It could be building with Legos, creating a 3D model on Blender that's never used in anything, doing a paint by numbers, writing a poem, or just doing some weird kind of arts and crafts. The stuff you create doesn't need to be pretty, it doesn't need to be sold, it doesn't need to be shared, and it doesn't need to be considered or even thought about by anyone else. What you need is to feel as if you're bringing something into the world instead of always taking from the world in the form of consumption. So, what do you enjoy consuming, and how do you turn that into something that you can create yourself? I see creation and consumption as a yin and a yang. They balance each other out, and if you do too much of one without the other, you're going to feel unsatisfied. Instead of constantly ordering your food from a meal delivery service or something like Uber Eats, spend some time learning to cook. Again, you don't need to be a chef and you don't need to impress anyone, but you need to feel like you're creating something in the world. Instead of buying a new shirt when you have a hole in it, learn to sew. Create something, build a game for fun, build something in Minecraft for fun. Just create without consumption, and that balance will start to feel a little more natural. And you'll start to feel a little bit better about how you spend your time out of work and find some meaning. Now, to be honest, I really do think that you should focus on doing this in the physical world, around other people and other real-life humans. But you don't have to spend all of your time in the physical world and disconnect from social media and the internet altogether. I don't think that's a solution because the way the internet works is that sometimes it's more relevant than real life. So if you're looking for a place to build something meaningful, you should check out our new Discord and Minecraft server called Third Place MC. The Minecraft server is a private, members-only server exclusively for people who are in the Discord, and everyone's been working together to build an insanely cool world with towns and villages and highways and metro systems and mini-games and all sorts of other really cool stuff. It's a great place to make new friends and meet new people online who are interested in topics like these, and it's available only for people who are in the Discord, so join the Discord using the link in the description and apply to join the Minecraft server, and I hope to see you there. And if you're enjoying this video, consider supporting the channel on the Buy Me a Coffee page. This page exists as a way to keep the channel going because I'm never going to take sponsorships on here, and the Buy Me a Coffee page also helps to support the Discord and keep the Minecraft server running so that everyone can enjoy them for the foreseeable future. All supporters will get shouted out at the end of all future videos, and we'll also get some special perks in the Discord and Minecraft servers, so check that out if you're interested in supporting, and I really do appreciate it. So, with space to think and new activities to fill the void left behind from overconsumption, you're starting to make some progress on feeling better about yourself. But you're still going to be limited by your physical body. You can have great mental health, but if your physical health is declining, the anxiety and unease felt by this is going to radiate across the rest of your life. And this is where I think that eating clean is genuinely one of the most important things to help you feel better, both mentally and physically. Now, before you click off, hear me out. I used to eat so bad. I would eat Chick-fil-A multiple times per week. I'd eat fast food and ice cream and sweets and junk food, and I never really cared because I have a fast metabolism and I didn't gain weight. In fact, I would often try to eat this stuff to help me gain weight because at the time I was insecure about being skinny. But this stuff absolutely wrecked my mental and physical health. These foods are full of bad ingredients that come from factories and are laced with so many chemicals that they probably shouldn't even be legal to begin with. I mean, check this out. This is the ingredient list for a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. You cannot make this stuff up. Something that appears to be bread, chicken, pickles, some sort of sauce, and that's it, looks like this. And this is the case across the board for almost all fast food, a majority of restaurant food, and even a lot of the stuff that you buy in the grocery store. All this food is fried and cooked in seed oils that are processed with industrial processing plants, bleached, and cleaned with something called hexane, which is literally poison. I'm not trying to fearmonger you, but I do think it's important to know what you're putting into your body. Going back to what I said earlier about how our urban environments have evolved, our food environments have evolved as well. Never throughout history have we eaten these types of ingredients, and our bodies are not made for this stuff. Sure, you could eat McDonald's every single day and you'll probably survive, but that doesn't mean that you should. Creating a diet that's centered around whole foods that exist in nature is the simplest way to get in shape, lose weight, and have the best mental health of your life. There are a lot of studies that link your diet with your mental health, and I would love to dive into these in a future video because I really like this type of stuff. So let me know if you want to see that, but for now, we're going to stay focused on this video. But in my opinion, it's a simple formula. Quality in equals quality out. If you put low quality ingredients and chemicals into your body through processed foods, you're going to have low quality outputs in the form of your thoughts or your physical actions. Your body runs off of food and you won't operate at full efficiency unless you eat something that is fully efficient. And processed foods are not that. Again, I'm not trying to shame you. I have no issue with this stuff, but I just want to let you know that I do find it important in the grand scheme of things with mental health. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be expensive. Just try to eat ingredients that exist in nature over processed counterparts as much as you can. And it doesn't have to be perfect. The closer that something is to its natural form, the better that it is for you. An apple is much better for you than homemade apple pie. But homemade apple pie is still so much better for you than McDonald's apple pie or a processed one in the grocery store. I eat ice cream all the time, but I eat ice cream that has clean ingredients that are just milk, cream, eggs, and vanilla. I eat vanilla ice cream and I put a scoop of peanut butter in it. That is my dessert. And if you want a comparison as to why that matters, look at the list of ingredients in a Ben & Jerry's chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream. This doesn't even make sense. Why do we need this many ingredients in ice cream? I will say, it's hard to eat perfectly clean, and it's something that I've been working on improving for years now, but just start by looking at something and seeing how close it is to what exists in nature. Again, I'm extremely passionate about this stuff, and I know a lot of people are going to call me pretentious or annoying or fear-mongering, because it happened before when I made an entire video about this that I now deleted. But I promise, this is genuinely the most important thing I've ever done for my physical and mental health. My workouts are better, my sleep is better, my mood is more consistent, and I accredit all of it to my diet. So if you want to talk about this a bit more, I made a channel in the Discord called Clean Eating, and feel free to hop in there and ping me, and I can walk you through my thought process with all of this stuff and kind of how I do it. But in short, again, try to be intentional with what you eat, and your physical body and your mental health will thank you. Your diet is one of the most important aspects of your body, and with a good diet, exercise isn't as important as you would think. You're not going to overeat chicken breasts like you would a bag of chips or Cheez-Its. So it's a lot harder to consume more than you need, and it's a lot easier to stay in shape. But the other angle of this does involve getting in shape through exercise. If you can clear space in your head, create instead of consume, and put good inputs into your body, the only other step of the formula is to keep your body operating and in good condition by moving it. Again, we've never been so sedentary in our lives. As humans, we're not made to sit as much as we do. You need to move around. I'm not saying that you need to join a CrossFit gym and start running marathons, because that's pretty unrealistic, and I know I'm sure as hell not going to do that myself. But you need to move around more than you do. Take the stairs instead of the elevator. There's no reason why someone who's not physically impaired or with a medical condition should not be able to go down 2 flights of stairs. If that's you, don't be ashamed. I'm not trying to be insensitive, but it's true, and it's something that you should strive to improve. Again, I don't want to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, so maybe should isn't the way to say it, but if you want to feel better, it's a good step to work towards that goal. So if that is you, you should try to take steps to solve the problem, because if you want to live a long life, you need to stay healthy. If you want to have kids and maybe one day meet your grandkids, this is something that you need to address now before it's too late. Again, you don't have to join a professional football league. Just go on short walks throughout the day or when you get home from work. Spend a little bit of time in the sun, wearing sunscreen of course. Go for a jog if you're feeling crazy. Do some yard work yourself for the exercise instead of paying someone else to cut your grass. Don't look at it as work, look at it as exercise. Go to the gym every once in a while, maybe try yoga, move in different ways, maybe try a sport or just learn to shoot hoops and play basketball. Your body is a gift, and I believe that you should utilize that gift or it'll be taken away from you. It's one of those things that if you don't spend a little bit of time on, you're going to regret it in the long run when you're 50 and unable to get up off the floor. Again, I'm not trying to be insensitive, and I understand that this is a little more complicated if you have a disability of some kind, but if you have the ability to move and you aren't, you're wasting it. There are so many people who have disabilities and would love to be able to walk down the stairs, but can't. And if you don't want to do it for yourself, you should at least do it for the people who wish they could. And by the time you start to do all these things, you're already going to be feeling a bit better about yourself. You'll start to see progress with your body, you'll start to feel more confident, and you'll start to feel clear with your thoughts and ideas. But you can't do this alone. And this is what I often come back to with this channel, to build a community and to make the internet feel a little bit smaller. But you need to be involved in this process as well if you want to feel better. Once again, I know I sound like that guy, but humans have never been this socially isolated. Throughout history, we lived in groups of around 150 people or less, but we knew everyone around us. We ate dinner together, we gave gifts to our neighbors, we hunted and fished together, we built gardens together, we helped each other with our neighbors' kids. As our environments grew and people moved into cities, we're now around millions of other people. But there's so many of them that we never see the same faces and we never build that community like we used to. And a community is what you really need to tie all of this together. You can have a great body, a great mind, perfect mental health, but if you don't have other people to share these things with, it's going to be for nothing. So as difficult as this sounds, the final step is to try hard to feel uncomfortable. You have to embrace the discomfort of being around other people, having awkward conversations, making eye contact, and laughing with other people to make life feel full. You need to take that first step and introduce yourself to an online community. You need to join an online community and chat with other people regardless of what you assume they're going to think about you. But even better, you need to get involved in physical communities in the real world. Go to coffee shops regularly and start to say hi to people that you recognize. I've been going to the same gym for over a year now, and the guy at the front desk knows my name now. I'm not friends with him, I don't talk to him at all other than checking in, but he knows it, and it makes the community feel a little bit closer. Go on apps like Meetup to find events in your area. Go to board game stores and join them for their weekly game nights. Find people to play Dungeons and Dragons with. Talk to someone in our Discord server and play Minecraft with them. Again, ideally, try to do this in the real world, and you'll start to make new friends who you can share experiences with. And if you can't do it in the real world or you aren't quite ready for it yet, get involved with those online communities where people are all gathered together for a similar purpose. I definitely want to make another video on clean eating because, again, I'm really passionate about it, and I do think it's one of the most life-changing things that I've ever done in my personal life. So if you want to see that, let me know in the comments. Or if you want to see any other video topics or there's something you're struggling with that you'd like to learn a bit more about and maybe I can help you, let me know there as well. How do you feel? Do you think any of these things will help you feel better? What's currently stopping you from doing these things? Let's chat and stay tuned for more videos like these. We will talk again soon. Did you know that 64% of men between the ages of 18 to 29 are single, and that over 57% of single adults in the United States said they weren't interested in dating at all? We live in a dating crisis. Well, we live in an everything crisis, and dating is just a small part of what has been affected. Over 364 million people use dating apps worldwide as of 2025, and 60 million of these are in the United States alone. Active users spend, on average, 80 minutes per day on these apps, and dating apps earned $4 billion last year on just Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge. Dating has become an extremely profitable industry, milked by tech startups to extract as much value as possible out of lonely people seeking connection. Your emotional needs are being commodified, and these companies have found a way to manipulate you into giving them money to fix the void caused by an increasingly complicated social landscape, and it's doing nothing for you. And because of this situation, it's easy to feel hopeless, as if you're going to be single forever. After a long antisocial day of school or work, you open up a dating app to swipe on hundreds of pictures of attractive people to no avail, and then pretend like you don't care just to feel better about the entire situation. But you know, maybe, just maybe, if you subscribe to the premium version of that cute little app you're using, you'll have a better shot. The feeling will go away, I promise. Just give Tinder $25 per month and all of your social and environmental needs will be filled, and you'll live happily ever after. Trust me, I understand why it seems hopeless and how the idea of finding a girlfriend or a boyfriend is a cause that is beyond help. And I get why so many people don't want to deal with it and have completely checked out of the dating market altogether. It's just not worth the exhaustion and the negative feelings that surround the entire process, so why try? And that's the state of where we are today. But what if I told you it doesn't have to be this way? That there's actually a way to fix your dating life, to experience the fullness of connecting with other people, and to eventually find someone who gets you for who you are. And if you give me until the end of this video, I hope that I can give you a bit of optimism that you have a chance in the dating market, that I can give you the little push that you need to get started on something that can completely change your life. Now, this is where a typical YouTube video on this topic would go into detail about how you have to follow a 10-step plan and subscribe to some slimy YouTube guru's online course, and bada bam, bada boom, look at that, you now have 10 girlfriends, a bunch of money in your pocket, the perfect body, a 4-hour work week, and the social capital to DM anyone you want on Instagram and instantly become best friends with them. But that's not the point of this video. I mean, did you notice that this video has Minecraft gameplay in the background? Yeah, we're tired of all of that garbage, and this channel is trying to bring the internet back to Earth, to reality. So if you like this video or the mission here, consider supporting me on Patreon using the link in the description. It's a great way to show that you like these videos, and it supports me because I'm never going to be taking sponsorships, brand deals, or anything like that on this channel. So if you like this video and it helps you and you want to support, consider checking it out in the description. So back to the topic of dating, how do you start? What is the first step? Well, it starts with getting off dating apps and taking a break from social media. Dating apps are perceived as the best and sometimes the only way to meet other people in present day. In fact, I think most people would find dating apps a prerequisite for dating, and you probably can't meet people at all unless you actively use them. But this just isn't true. I met my girlfriend the second I got off dating apps, and I firmly believe that they are one of the things that are hurting the dating market the most and causing the most people to feel more helpless than ever before. When you outsource your dating efforts to an app, sorted by an algorithm and full of user-created profiles, you give up a very natural element of how dating has always worked. Everyone with a Tinder or Hinge profile specifically curates their image to appear in a way that they think will attract the most other people. Pictures are snapped from the perfect angle and the coolest places with the best lighting and the best vibes to show how cool and interesting you are. Your prompts and your bio are curated to showcase your humor, your amazing personality traits, and your super interesting and diverse range of hobbies. You have to successfully convince every single person that you swipe on that you're even worth their time, and if you don't do a good job at doing that, you will never get any matches. This is not a natural way to date other people, and it's caused people's expectations, including yours, to be insanely unrealistic. If someone doesn't look attractive, you can say that you aren't interested from the jump. If they support a political movement that you don't agree with, you can pre-select and screen out everyone who isn't aligned with you. If they aren't blonde or below a certain height or aren't interested in drinking alcohol, you could filter your search and only see people who meet your exact criteria. While this sounds good on the surface, it makes it so that people on dating apps expect everyone they see to have zero flaws whatsoever. It's like starting a Fallout New Vegas run and having infinite points to put into every category on your character. That's the expectation. I mean, if you already filtered to craft your dream person and then you match with them, you're going to be disappointed when you find out that they have this one thing that really bothers you. When they aren't as attractive in person, when they aren't as funny as their profile prompts make you think they are, or when they're just a little less exciting than you originally thought, you give up and go back on the app to find the next one. This is why you often get ghosted on apps when you match with someone. I mean, they swiped on you, so you'd think they like you, but halfway through your conversation, they get bored and now you're sitting there confused and frustrated. This is why you can have some conversations but never get a date. And this is why sometimes you don't get any matches to begin with. If you can't successfully curate a profile, entertain the other person like a clown at a circus for the entirety of your conversation, and somehow land a date without them losing interest or getting cold feet, then you're toast. And online dating is going to be extremely unsuccessful for you. But it's okay because there are tens of thousands of other options in your area, so you aren't attached to the outcome and you can just go back to swiping until you find one that actually works out. Why am I saying this? Because it was me. I barely got any matches when I was on dating apps, and when I would have a good conversation, most of the girls would lose interest for no reason halfway through. If I ever did successfully manage to secure a date, I wasn't ever convinced that the girl really wanted to be there and that they were just trying to see if it would work because they were lonely. If the date did go well, which most of the time it didn't, I wouldn't really feel like having another one with them. It felt forced and pointless, and every girl had some sort of flaw that made me not excited to pursue them, and I never felt as if I was making girls excited to continue talking to me either. Throughout college, I spent collective years on dating apps, swiping through God knows how many people to try to find someone. And throughout all this time, I landed a handful of mediocre dates, and that was it. And this is also the case for pretty much all of my friends too. I've mentioned this before, but I have a ton of friends who are still actively using dating apps to this day, some of them swiping through thousands of people per month, going on quite a few dates, and still ending up single and hopeless at the end of the day, so I know I am not alone here. Because here's the thing. When you have the perception of endless options, you attach no value to the ones that you do have. The one girl who only checks off some of the boxes for you can wait because a better one may reach out tomorrow, and this hypothetical girl may have all the boxes checked off. The message that you send to the girl on the app that you think seems cool doesn't need much effort put into it, because you can just send 100 other messages over the next hour, copy and paste, and hope for the best. The whole system becomes a statistical game, and the human element of dating is thrown completely out the window. And this is just the online part, the part that's confined to your screen and your apps. But this mindset carries over into the real world as well. Now, with the idea that through these apps you can define the exact type of girl you're looking for and give simple, preemptive yes or no responses based on what you think about these people, you do the same thing in the real world. If you see someone in public, but maybe they aren't quite the girl you envisioned yourself with, you don't take a chance and talk to them. There are plenty of fish in the online sea, so who cares if you miss an opportunity to say hi to a girl who catches your eye at a coffee shop? In fact, talking to girls in real life isn't even in the realm of possibilities anymore. It's way easier, way less uncomfortable to swipe, send some cheesy pickup lines that you found on Reddit, and hope for the best without any risk of true rejection. Worst case, if a girl says she isn't interested or doesn't respond, you can block her or unmatch and move on to the next one the exact same minute. The ones in real life become interchangeable with the ones online, with the online ones replacing the opportunities in the real world and making it so that you have no incentive to talk to them without using the app as a shield. Now, that was a lot, but I think you understand my point. In the grand scheme of dating, online apps end up taking priority over real-life interactions, making you forget that, before dating apps, real life was the only way to meet new people. Our parents, grandparents, and pretty much anyone in the dating market for all of modern history started their relationships by walking up, introducing themselves, saying hi, and most importantly, feeling uncomfortable. It's not natural to feel this comfortable all the time with dating, and by removing any and all anxiety or nervousness through the shield of a screen, you're missing out on what dating really means. So you need to delete these dating apps to bring dating back to the real world. You need to notice people that you're attracted to in the physical world, and you need to tell yourself that talking to these people in person is the only way that you're going to get a meaningful date. Forget that the apps even exist, and once you force yourself to use real-life interactions as your only options, you'll feel more inclined to walk up to someone in public and start that conversation. I realize that this is much easier said than done. Getting the confidence to walk up to someone in public, smile at them, and say something that isn't completely moronic is a lot to ask, and even thinking about this process can be anxiety-inducing for a lot of people. What do you say? What should you do? Should you ask for her number? The list of questions goes on. But let's take a step back here. Before you worry about any of this stuff, you need to put yourself in a physical environment where you're around people that share similar interests or hobbies. You need to be in spaces where human interaction is easy to begin with, and it'll take a lot of the guesswork out of those conversation starters. Go to coffee shops, even if you aren't a coffee shop guy, and hang out. Sit at those big community tables where there's a chance that other people are near you. Don't go out and order a coffee to go and say you tried. Don't sit in the corner facing away from everyone and say you tried. You need to put yourself in places where you can interact with other humans. Join a club of some kind, start a new hobby like rock climbing, take your dog to a dog park, go grab a beer at a brewery with a friend and sit at the bar. The options are endless. All you really have to do here is find a place where you see people just hanging out and put yourself in those places. And for God's sake, when you get there, don't go on your phone and scroll on TikTok. Don't wear headphones and listen to solace videos. Don't close yourself off. Make it so that you seem as if you're open to talking to other people. And do it often so that you have more chances. These places are where you start to see opportunities to talk to other people. Yeah, if you see a pretty girl across the bar and she's making eye contact with you from 85 yards away in a group of 13 people, it's pretty damn hard, if not impossible, to find a way to talk to her. You have to get up, walk over, think of something to say that you can relate to her with, navigate her friend group, and not look stupid while doing all of this. It's a lot of steps and there's a lot that can go wrong. But if a girl is sitting next to you at the dog park and you think she's cute, it's a lot easier to casually strike up a conversation. Ask her what kind of dog she has, how old her dog is, or something about what she's reading or wearing or listening to. Ask questions. Don't think about how you can throw a sleazy compliment in to make it clear that you like her. Don't say some stupid pickup line that you saw on Reddit. Talk to her like a normal human being and have no real goal other than a fun conversation. From here, she'll get a feel for your vibe, and if you seem cool and she enjoys the conversation, you will know. Don't instantly assume that you're making her insanely uncomfortable just by talking to her. Don't assume that she hates you and she thinks you're ugly and that you smell bad. Because the thing is, she would walk away and move somewhere else if this was the case. If the conversation continues and naturally flows between the both of you, then there's some chemistry, and consider hanging out and asking for her number eventually. If the conversation feels dry and you have to keep thinking about things to say and she's looking away and she seems uninterested, then drop it. Don't ask anything, just accept the fact that this wasn't it and move on, proud of the fact that you struck up the conversation to begin with. I mean, think about it. If you were using a dating app, you wouldn't ask a girl on a date when she hasn't responded to 3 messages in a row. You'd start a conversation, feel it out, and if she seems interested, then maybe you'd ask her on a date. Why would it be any different in the real world? So just go with the flow, and you don't really have to think about what you should be doing. Have a normal conversation and kind of read the room to see if she's interested or not. If she's not, she probably will make it very clear that she's not, and then you know not to embarrass yourself by asking for her number. But if the conversation seems to be going well, then it's time to actually make a move. You just have to put yourself out there in the real world, chat like you're chatting to anyone else on the planet, and if it goes well, give it a shot. If it doesn't go well and she thinks you're weird and says she has to go, then who cares? The fact that you even went out of your comfort zone to talk to her is something that you should genuinely feel proud of. If you keep doing this and get more experience socializing in the real world without the shield of dating apps or social media, you'll start to see a lot of progress in your confidence, and it'll get much easier every single time. And when you do get a conversation that goes well, because I promise you it will happen eventually, ask for the girl's number. Again, this is another thing that doesn't take a lot of strategy. You don't have to be smooth or cool or whatever. If the conversation's going good and you've been talking for 10 or 15 minutes and you get the vibe that she's actually kind of enjoying it, just tell her the truth. Explain how you really like talking to her and ask if you can get her number. Talk about how you're trying to meet new people in your area and that she seems interesting, and ask for her number. It's actually far more casual than you'd think, and I think many people would prefer a more human approach like this instead of some stupid pickup line that they've heard 1,000 times. If she's single and maybe she's interested in getting to know you more, she'll give you her number. If she isn't into you or if she has a boyfriend, she'll probably tell you. Sure, she may give you your number simply because she doesn't like confrontation and doesn't want to say no, but even then, this isn't a big deal because one of 3 things will happen from this interaction. 1, she does like you and you get her number and start talking. 2, she doesn't like you or isn't interested and she'll say no and won't give you her number. Or 3, she'll lie and give you her number just because she doesn't want to say no because she's a nice person. Number 1 and 3 seem hard to tell the difference between, but they aren't, because if she doesn't answer the first text you send her in a day or so, she probably isn't interested and it probably was option 3. But even here, in the worst case scenario of the 3 options, what really happens? You gained valuable dating experience, and dude, do you see how much progress you just made? You should be proud of what you did, getting out, getting uncomfortable, and asking a girl for her number. Sure, maybe she didn't text back and you feel a bit disappointed, but I promise you the next girl that you're interested in will be a lot easier to talk to. And if after all of this, she does actually like you for who you are, you'll easily be able to keep texting her. The first text just needs to be something like, "Hey, it's Solace, met you at the dog park. It was really nice to chat with you. I'm going back on Friday, would you like to join?" Again, there's starting to be a pattern here, and it's just to be natural with this kind of stuff and stop attaching so much value to every word, comment, and interaction that you have with people in public. If you guys have personalities that align, the conversation will flow. And if the conversation feels terrible, I'm going to be honest with you, it probably wouldn't work out anyways, so who cares? Now, most importantly, keep in mind that you need to be yourself. If you pretend to be someone else in these interactions, people will pick up on it, and I promise you they will see right through it. So don't say the things that you think the other person wants to hear. Say how you really feel and think, and if they don't like it, then they probably aren't the one for you anyways. There was a lot of information here, but the key takeaway is this. There are plenty of fish in the sea, but they're in the real life sea, and they require real life effort to date. People are tired of dating apps. I mean, look, you're tired of them, so why would you assume that this isn't the case for others as well? People are longing for human interaction, and by getting out there and socializing, making yourself available, and going with the flow while getting social practice, your dating success is going to be much better than it would be just sitting on Tinder, sliding into people's DMs on Instagram, and hoping a girlfriend is going to appear at your door overnight. Doing this does increase your risk of rejection, but every person who isn't interested gives you valuable experience, helps you learn more about yourself, and helps your social skills outside of dating. These improved social skills can change your life in other areas. They can help you make new friends, do well at work, and so many other things. So I know it's hard, but give it a try, it may just work. What are your thoughts on all of this? What has your dating experience been like? Have you tried this? Has it worked? Let me know in the comments because there are so many people in this community who can help you figure it out. And if you want to connect with these people and make new friends to go through this stuff together, consider joining the Discord linked in the description. We have over 2,000 members who are all like-minded and here for personal development, so hop in, introduce yourself, and let's chat. That's it for today's conversation, and we will talk again soon. When was the last time you touched some grass? No, seriously, when was it? When was the last time that you went outside, sat down in your backyard or in a park, and literally touched grass? It sounds ridiculous, but I mean it. Think about it. If you're like me, you probably can't even name the last time you touched grass, the last time you went into a park and sat on a bench without a phone or a book, the last time you laid down and let the sun shine on your skin for no purpose other than to feel its warmth. We live in an artificial world that's constructed for consumption and safety. Everything is supposed to be easy and harmless, and if your every action isn't spent on stimulating the economy or producing something of value, then you are a waste of time and space. You should be watching your favorite TV show, scrolling through your TikTok feeds to see what irrelevant cultural trends you've missed in the last 24 hours, improving yourself, learning new skills, or thinking about money. Come on, dude, you just need to do more. The answer is always more. But while you're doing this, you know what you aren't doing? Touching grass. Listening to the sounds of the birds chirping, if you're even lucky enough to live somewhere that still has birds. You aren't watching the clouds and trying to come up with what they look like. You aren't listening to the rain or observing how the water droplets pool up in random patterns on your window. You are consuming. Buying the next tier of the battle pass, staying up to date with the news, listening to your favorite podcast, or updating your profile photo, or scrolling through Reddit, or messaging people on Discord, or... Okay, I'll stop now. I believe that we aren't made to live at this pace, and that because of how quickly everything moves these days, we're missing out on what really matters, the world around us. This is something that I've been feeling a lot lately, as the increasing responsibilities of my job and social obligations have slowly pulled me away from my physical world. I've been spending more and more hours on my computer, tied into an artificial environment and longing for something deeper. And for a while, I didn't really know what I was looking for. I felt unfulfilled, but I didn't know what I needed to do to make that feeling go away. So I hit it with more screen time, and the feeling got worse. And chances are, you feel this way too. The thing is, the feeling won't go away by drowning yourself in YouTube shorts and video games. It goes away by touching grass. Here's what I mean by this. I just spent a few days in Glacier National Park in Montana doing 8, 9, and 10-mile hikes for a few days without screens, without internet, and without external stimulation. I've never been a huge hiking or outdoorsman kind of guy, but these few days in the mountains really opened up my mind in a way that I hadn't experienced in a very long time. Glacier National Park is the bear capital of the United States, with more grizzly bears than anywhere else other than Alaska. There are signs around every corner of every hike that tell you to stay prepared, to bring bear spray, and that the park isn't responsible for your death. It's low-key terrifying. As someone who lives in a city, miles away from the nearest nature and half the country away from the nearest grizzly bear, I was extremely hesitant to even go to Montana to begin with. I didn't admit it out loud, but all I thought about was the chances of running into a bear. But as my burnout continued to increase with work, I felt that it was more and more necessary for me to get away from it all and get into nature. I hadn't been somewhere that made me uncomfortable in a really long time, and I felt like I needed to connect to something more meaningful in the world to save me from the exhaustion of the internet. With everything going on in politics and the cost of living going up and the job market and progressing in my career and growing the channel, and all of these obligations that I feel were thrown onto me kept me distracted in my day-to-day life. It kept me so distracted that I would wake up, stare at a screen, and next thing you know, the day was over. The world we live in today is really draining if you're up to date with everything, and it leads to a sense of anxiety that's almost impossible to escape. That's why mental health is in such decline, and that's why I bought the plane ticket to Montana even with my fear of grizzly bears. I was insanely on edge the first hike we went on. I've never really been this far out into nature, but as the hikes and the days went on, I began to love it. Sure, I was still a little on edge, especially when we did a hike that was literally on the edge of a cliff at 5:30 in the morning in the fog on a trail that had a grizzly bear encounter just a few days before, but I embraced that discomfort, and as we progressed on the hike, I felt all of my concerns, all of my stresses, and all of my anxieties, minus the slight one of the bears, drift away. I felt my mind open up. I felt clear, and I felt like I could see my future in a way that everyday distractions prevented me from doing. I felt right, and I felt like I needed to bring this stuff up in a video. It sounds hippie and maybe kind of cringe to say it, but the truth of the matter is that nature heals you. We've spent all of human history in nature in one way or another, and it's only over the last 100 years or so that humans have lived in cities, in concrete wastelands full of pollution, noise, and chaos without easy access to some form of nature. We're so isolated and compartmentalized now that nature has become something that's entirely separate from the rest of life, something that you need to seek out. But nature is life, and trying to separate the two causes us to give up a core element of what makes us human. We have no connection to the world around us anymore, to the birds and the trees and the grass. They're just things. The food at the grocery store is just sustenance that you put into your body while watching brain rot Minecraft videos. The way that your food got onto the plate is irrelevant. It's there and is yours for the taking. The grass is mowed by someone else. The heat in the winter comes from some mysterious power plant, the cold from a hidden AC unit somewhere in your house. The wind is an annoying thing that messes up your hair, and the rain does nothing but make it so that you have to order Uber Eats instead of going to pick something up from a restaurant yourself. We've gotten so comfortable that we forgot nature exists at all. And thinking like this is a big part of why you feel so off when you sit at a computer all day and never see the sun while working in a cubicle. I was feeling so insanely burnt out and unsatisfied before I went on my trip to Montana, and just a few hours a day for a weekend walking around in the woods gave me new ideas, cleared my head, and made me feel more present when I got back. And I still feel the benefits of that trip today, even a few weeks later. I'm not making this stuff up, the science speaks for itself. In 2024, a meta-analysis of 59 different studies on the topic found that people who spent a lot of time in green spaces had 9% lower odds of common mental health problems, including depression and anxiety, when compared to people who weren't exposed to nature. A 2-hour walk in the forest lowered systolic blood pressure by a considerable amount and cortisol levels in saliva by 12% in a study with Hungarian adults. Japanese forest bathing sessions cut adrenaline measurements by 30% when compared to urban walks. And there are even studies about how just a few minutes per day in nature helped improve people's attention spans. I'll link all of these studies on my Buy Me a Coffee page if you're interested, and if you want to be that guy who argues sources, but the evidence is there, nature heals. Because, well, when you're in nature, you are present. You are human. You aren't trying to multitask or force your way through a problem and solution. You're letting your mind wander gently and noticing the sounds and sights around you. You aren't being overstimulated by countless noises and people around you and responsibilities. You're living in your most natural state without the expectations of society. And if you can, you should take advantage of it because it helped my mental health quite a bit, and I think it could help yours too. It's obviously not realistic to go to Montana every time you need nature. And if you live in a city, it can be hard to even find nature to begin with. So be more practical. Try to get 120 minutes in a natural setting every week, whether it's a small park in the middle of a busy city, a beach, a wooded area with some trees, or a small pond. Spend time outdoors, without stimulation, without audiobooks and podcasts and music, and just observe the world that we've grown to neglect. If you don't like sitting still, find something to do outside rather than inside that you still find entertaining. Start gardening, learn to do yoga, try fishing, or drive and go for a walk in the nearest nature to your house. Or just go in your yard or the area around your apartment building and chill on a bench somewhere near grass. It really is that simple. If you're feeling the inevitable burnout, exhaustion, and overstimulation that comes from our increasingly bizarre modern world, the easiest way to feel more human and less robotic is to embrace the human element that we've given up in exchange for convenience. To remember that our world is connected and that everything around you is alive, breathing the same air that you breathe. Take time to enjoy your food and appreciate the beauty that nature produces. Processed manufactured foods and snacks and all this other stuff that comes out of a factory and is shipped to store shelves around the world may taste good, but there's something special about seeing a piece of fruit and knowing that the world produced it for you to enjoy. That nature did something magical and that you're blessed to be able to see what it did for you. I mean, dude, have you ever eaten a perfectly ripe mango? I don't see why Fruit Loops are more enjoyable than that. That mango came from nature, dude. How? It doesn't even make sense. Or the fact that you could just walk up to a bush and it has blueberries on it and you could eat that directly from the earth, that's just crazy to me. It's funny because a lot of my friends would genuinely make fun of me for saying stuff like this, but I feel in my heart that as humans, we've lost a large part of what it means to be human. It isn't natural to consume without seeing how things are produced, to get your food delivered with no connection to the ingredients or even the person cooking it, to drink water that just flows out of the faucet into your cup without understanding that it came from the earth. All the luxuries of modern life that we've taken for granted all came from nature, and if you could take a step back to see how it's all connected and how generous the natural world is, it can help you to see that we're all just living on a floating rock in space and that maybe we should get along a little bit better. I began to realize this after I read a book called The Serviceberry, which talks about these exact types of topics. It was a pretty good book, and it really opens up your mind and helps you envision what the world would be like if we all just got one step closer to nature. So I linked it in the description on my bookshop site that has all of my favorite book recommendations if you want to check it out. It's a quick read, and honestly, I really enjoyed it. Do you think that we've become too disconnected from nature, that we need to spend more time outdoors? What's stopping you from touching grass? Let me know in the comments. That's it for our conversation today, and we will talk again soon. At the store, at the gym, at the dentist, online, you're always thinking about women. Every swipe, every scroll, every possible interaction in public. Women are always on your mind, and you're like an owl when you're out in the world, keeping your head on a swivel and looking around for the next possible interaction with a woman that could go somewhere and lead to you being able to get a girlfriend. And whether you're into women or something else, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. The constant urge to meet someone, to fall in love, is always there, and it distracts you from things a lot more than you'd like to admit. It sounds crazy, but it really is common. When we're lonely, we want to meet someone to fill that void, and since dating opportunities feel so limited these days, we need to be ready at any time to make sure that we don't miss any of these opportunities. I tried to be extremely aware for years. Quickly sending messages to any online dating matches, trying to come up with any excuse to swipe up on a girl's Instagram story where she remembers who I am, and looking around to see if there was anyone who seemed even remotely interested in me in public. It distracted me from things that I should have been enjoying, and it was like a constant weight in the back of my mind that never really went away. As I got more and more lonely, I found myself starting to do things that I wouldn't normally do to find a girlfriend. I said things that I didn't really believe, went to bars that I didn't really like going to, and started lowering my standards to start relationships with women who didn't respect me and probably cheated on me, to be honest. I thought that making more money would help, that putting on more muscle was the key to my success, and that doing X, Y, and Z that some random crusty dude online said would change the game and allow me to finally attract women. But it didn't work. See, we live in a world where there's an incentive for people online to sell you stuff, to convince you that you're less than you are in order to help fill that void with their stupid online class or guide. So somehow, this landscape has caused people to think that they need to be a certain way or to do a certain thing in order to attract someone. And this seems like the reality when you see these random street interviews where women say that they won't even look at a guy unless he's over 6 feet and drives a $100,000 plus car, which reinforces the cycle and has somehow convinced everyone that they need to possess a list of superficial traits in order to not be alone. And it just isn't true. In fact, I think that you should stop trying to attract women altogether. Not to give up, but actually, well, to get a girlfriend. It doesn't make sense, but I think it will by the end of this video, so stick with me. Let's go back to the perception that people have about dating. Again, online, you always hear about the traits that women are looking for. You need to be rich, have a six-pack, have a large social media following, a charming personality, no nerdy tendencies because anime and gaming are cringe, and the list goes on. These ideas are reinforced by online gurus who get money by talking about these things, and those street interviews where some random guy is asking women in the street what they think. But, well, the people selling stuff clearly just want you to feel like you're missing something so that you can buy what they're selling. And the street interviews are often at night, outside of bars or nightclubs in cities like Miami, where those are, in fact, the things that people are looking for in those areas. Of course, the woman who just came from the nightclub where she got in for free, had all of her drinks paid for, and lives in a city where showing off money and status is 90% of one's day-to-day, would have said that. That's probably what she wants. And do you think the guy would have posted the street interview of the woman who just said she's looking for someone who loves her, encourages her to be the best that she can, and is there for her when she's feeling bad? Of course not. And of course, the online gurus aren't going to make any money by saying that you need to work on your emotional intelligence, work out a few times a week so that you feel good about yourself, and find something that you're passionate about that guides you. Nobody's going to click on a video or buy a course for that. And I'm sure for that reason, this video is probably not going to do that good as well. The stuff that people post online is a self-perpetuating cycle, pretending that certain things are the reality, which then reinforces those things and causes more people to make content on them, causing more people to believe that they're true. But they really aren't true, and there's no formula or list of boxes that you need to check off to meet or attract women. So stop trying to perform, to be someone that you aren't, or to level up, and just try to be a human. I was single throughout pretty much all of college, and when I switched my mindset, I ended up meeting the girl of my dreams, and I'm confident that she's the girl I'm going to marry one day. So, what did I do? Well, the first thing is this. Stop chasing a specific outcome with women. When your goal is to just get her number or make her like you, it shows, and not in a good way. Most people know what it feels like when someone's only talking to them because they want something. It's off-putting and obvious, like when someone approaches you on the street or in the mall to try to get you to buy something. That same feeling applies here. If you're forcing a conversation or hyping her up just to win her over, she'll pick up on it instantly. Instead, approach women like you'd approach anyone, without putting them on a pedestal or pretending to be someone you're not. Don't hide your actual interest or change your personality just to impress. When you treat people like people, not prizes, the anxiety and effort melt away and you start having genuine, relaxed interactions. When you're trying too hard to make someone like you, it's easy for them to sense it. It took a while for me to realize this, but once I stopped treating conversations with women like auditions, everything changed. Suddenly, I wasn't exhausting myself trying to remember some winning line or second-guessing how I was coming across. I just let the conversation happen. Some went nowhere, so what? Others felt surprisingly easy. And this type of conversation is what I had when I first met my girlfriend, and it's a big part of why we hit it off so early. I didn't hide my interests or my nerdy tendencies or my music tastes. I was truly myself, and she liked me for who I am, not for who I was pretending to be. But there's one thing that comes before this, and that's figuring out who you are. Social media, these online gurus, and even friends unintentionally feed you these ideas of who you should become if you want to be accepted. Pretty soon, it's easy to forget what genuinely matters to you or what you enjoy doing when nobody's watching. Real connection has to start with you being real, but you can't do that if you've lost track of yourself. So before you worry about being liked, take a hard look inward and ask yourself some basics, free from outside expectations. What are your real goals? Yours, not ones borrowed from some influencer or your parent. Where do you want to be in 5 or 10 years, not just with relationships, but in how you live every day? What actually brings you joy? What do you do for fun when no one's grading you on looking cool? If money were no object, how would you spend your days, or what would you choose for work? What weird foods, hobbies, or random obsessions light you up for no reason at all? Give yourself permission to answer honestly, even if those answers sound ordinary or cringe by someone else's standards. That's the foundation. When you know who you are and you give yourself space to honor those parts of yourself, the right people notice and they want to be around you because of that, not in spite of it. I'm extremely passionate about YouTube, learning philosophy, country music, and coffee shops, and while these are a weird, unimpressive group of personality traits, they really are a big part of who I am. The night I met the girl who is now my girlfriend, I was able to passionately talk about these things. I didn't hide them, I didn't try to push them aside to be only interested in NFTs and sports gambling so that she would like me. I came forward with who I am, and she liked who I was, so it worked out. Because even if you do pretend and she does like the fake version of you, she's gonna find the real one eventually. So don't hide it because you're setting yourself up for disaster if you do. Discover yourself and make it clear who you are and what you believe, and you won't have to try and attract women. Some woman, somewhere, will one day find these things attractive. Without the performances of trying to impress women and an idea of who you really are, it's time to discuss the flip side of this coin. Something that a lot of people aren't going to want to hear. While you should never pretend to be someone that you aren't in order to attract women, there are some things that you really should try and work on if you want to keep a woman interested in you and have success in long-term relationships. And these aren't only traits for relationships, but traits that will contribute to your overall success and happiness. I'm not talking about faking anything or scrambling to buy a six-figure car or hit the gym out of desperation, but about building a life and habits that make you better, more fulfilled, and more confident. Here are some things worth focusing on. Emotional intelligence. Learn to talk about your feelings, not just bottle them up. Listen when someone's upset, own up when you're wrong, and try to understand where people are coming from even if you don't agree. Real relationships need real communication, not just surface-level jokes and banter. Self-sufficiency and ambition. Have goals outside of dating. Work on something that matters to you: career, school, side hustles, creative projects. You don't need to be rich or hyper-successful, but having a sense of direction and drive is attractive because it shows that you aren't looking for someone else to fix your life. Respect for others. Treat people well, regardless of what they can offer you. It sounds basic, but it's easy to overlook. The way you talk to waiters and waitresses, family, strangers, or people online says more about you than any flex that you can post on Instagram. Curiosity and openness. Try new things, read books, watch movies outside of your comfort zone, travel if you can, even if it's just exploring your own city. Stay curious about life, it keeps you interesting and it makes conversations effortless. Accountability. When you mess up, admit it. When you don't know something, own it. Accountability builds trust faster than pretending to be perfect. Healthy boundaries. Know what you won't accept in a relationship, how you expect to be treated, and what your deal breakers are. Boundaries don't mean being rigid or controlling, they mean knowing when to walk away from situations or people that don't align with your values or well-being. Taking care of yourself. Not because you need a six-pack, but because feeling good makes life better. Move your body, sleep enough, shower, figure out the style that feels comfortable to you. Do it for yourself, not for the likes or attention. And finally, being present. Actually pay attention and put the phone down sometimes. Ask questions and listen to answers. Being present is rare these days, which is why it stands out. These are just a few things that will not only help you to have more success with women, but also allow you to become a better person. As you learn more about yourself, develop some good traits and stop trying to be so performative. You will, ironically, be able to attract women more successfully if you do this. But the weird thing is, the second that you do all of this in order to attract the women, it becomes pointless. You should try to do these things for yourself, and an improved dating life will come naturally as a result of all of this. I recently saw something online that summarizes everything we've talked about with a good story. Imagine you've always been obsessed with catching butterflies. You run around the field, net in hand, chasing every flash of color, constantly looking, always feeling like you're missing out if you stop for even a second. But the more that you chase, the more the butterflies dart away, sensing your desperation and flying just out of reach. Now, picture a different approach. You decide to pause, put down the net, and focus on building your own garden. You plant the flowers you love, cultivate vibrant colors, and take time to care for the space, watering it, pulling out weeds, giving it sunlight. Maybe at first it's quiet, but with time, as the garden grows more beautiful, butterflies begin to visit on their own. Not because you hunted them, but because they're drawn to what you created. They come and go freely, and the experience is richer and more natural than anything you could have caught with a net. That's what it's like with relationships. The garden is your own life, your passions, your growth, the things that makes you excited to wake up every morning. When you focus on nurturing those things, people are drawn to you out of genuine interest and curiosity. You're not chasing, you're attracting by simply being the best and fullest version of yourself. The less you focus on catching someone, the more you create a space where real, lasting connection can show up. So try and take this into your normal life and see how it works out. I think with time and patience, you'll become exactly who you want to be. Do you agree with the things that I've talked about here? What has been your biggest challenge with dating? Do you have any tips for other people? Let me know in the comments and come chat over on the Discord server. If you enjoyed this conversation, consider supporting the channel by buying me a coffee. I'm not taking sponsors on this channel, and your support goes a long way. That's it for today, and we will talk again soon. We aren't living in 1984, and I don't think we're about to anytime soon. That might sound different from what you usually hear online, where a lot of creators and influencers like to say that we're sliding step by step into Big Brother territory, and an all-powerful government that watches our every move, suppresses and controls our thoughts, and ensures obedience around every corner. But I don't think that's the case. I think we're heading towards somewhere much worse than 1984. To a world in which we're chasing productivity and self-optimization so intensely that we're burning ourselves out from the inside and losing a big part of our shared humanity. Instead of an external government overlord demanding constant obedience, we've become our own overlords, working ourselves to death voluntarily and at an ever-increasing rate. And there really isn't a lot of hope to escape from this new world that we've built. If you aren't familiar with 1984, it's a classic book written by George Orwell. In this fictional world, the government, called the Party, controls pretty much every aspect of people's lives. They're watching everyone all the time, and they expect complete loyalty. Being yourself isn't allowed, and even your private thoughts aren't safe, thanks to the thought police. Life runs on constant surveillance, propaganda, and fear, leaving people alone and too powerless to fight back. With AI and governments working together with large corporations to literally watch our every move, it can easily seem like we're slipping into that fictional world that Orwell wrote about all the way back in the 1940s. And while maybe we have inched a bit closer to that reality, I don't think it's where we're really heading, because that's not where the value comes from. Let me paint a picture, one that I feel shows our world a bit more accurately. One that we can use to demonstrate how we're actually shifting in a different direction from the 1984 direction that everyone talks about. So here it is. From an early age, you're told that you need to be a specific person when you get older. What's the ultimate goal? Getting a job that pays a lot of money. You need to do well in school, to get to college, to get your degree, to get a high-paying job as a doctor or an engineer. If you don't do that, you've failed. Outside of your schooling, you need to participate in productive hobbies. You need to play a sport to stay in shape. You need to learn an instrument to seem intelligent. You need a side hustle to build your business at a young age and invest in the stock market. You shouldn't be playing video games or hanging out with your friends. You need to be learning to code because software engineers make a lot of money. And as you get older, this gets progressively worse. You need a good major in college if you go, one that puts you in the upper branches of society. Learning about philosophy or literature or history is stupid and a waste of time because you can't make much money with those things. So how are you going to get a job? So you go through college trying to get good grades, get internships, and get that high-paying job. And maybe you get one, maybe you don't, but either way, it isn't enough. And now you need to start thinking about how you need to get to the next level of your job, to get that promotion or switch to a higher-paying job somewhere else. But now, you also need to do what the internet says too. You see all these people online with all of their cool stuff that they just bought, and now you need to make even more money to buy those same things where you aren't left out. You need those new games that everyone's talking about, you need the new AirPods, or the new car, or the nicer apartment. You should be traveling too. Why are you so content sitting at home on the weekend? It goes on at an ever-increasing pace, and you constantly feel behind and like you need to keep making progress to become a better version of yourself. And it stays this way until you get old, with your body and your mind being completely destroyed by the years of constant pressure so that you can enjoy your last 5 years of life sitting around watching Instagram reels about politics and blaming the newest generation for all of your problems. And in this world, you weren't pushed to this point because Big Brother was watching, or because your thoughts were being watched and controlled by the thought police, who were trying to make you into a productive member of society. No, you did it to yourself because you were worried about what the rest of society thought about your actions. Did you really want to learn how to code? Or did you do it because you thought that's what would make you a valuable member of society? What's the reason you needed to buy the new collectible Labubu doll? Yes, those are a real thing. Look them up if you don't know what they are. Did you really want this thing because you thought it was cool, or was it to fit in with the rest of the people who also collect these? All of this stuff is extremely exhausting, which is why so many people feel so burnt out all the time. And this is the premise of Byung-Chul Han's Burnout Society, a book that I just finished reading and one that I think can help you understand the world and why things feel so intense these days, for a lack of a better word. Han's concept of the Burnout Society flips the script on the familiar dystopian narrative of 1984. Instead of external oppression by a controlling government, he argues that our exhaustion comes from within. We've internalized the demands of productivity and endless self-improvement to such an extent that we police ourselves more harshly than any government ever could. The modern world isn't covered in the drab suppression found in 1984, it's bursting with the manic colors of hustle culture, self-help gurus, and the relentless drive to, quote, level up. Rather than living under the threat of an outside enemy, we've become our own relentless masters, forever seeking more ways to unlock our untapped potential. In Burnout Society, Han describes how this pressure to constantly optimize, at work, at home, online, and in every waking moment, leads not to freedom or fulfillment, but to fatigue, anxiety, depression, and a haunting sense that we're never enough. The real danger isn't an authoritarian state controlling our every move, but a society so obsessed with achievement and productivity that it leaves us perpetually isolated and burnt out. That's the world that we live in. At my current job, I've gotten promoted 3 times in 3 years. I have a good relationship with my boss, and I don't hate the type of work that I do. It's definitely one of the better working situations to be in, and I'm doing everything right according to what society at large sees as valuable. I should be proud of where I am in my job, and I should be continuing to advance so that I could reach the next level, and the next level, until I run the entire world? But here's the thing. My job has started to feel more and more empty the higher that I climb. When I first joined the company, I was excited. I saw the potential of where else I could go, how much further I could take my new career. There were promises of promotions, of raises, and of the chance to grow the team and define the direction of the company. It sounded amazing, so I worked extremely hard to get there, and I did everything that I could to be the best employee ever. I responded to emails all hours of the day, after hours, and on weekends. If I took time off, which I very rarely did, I still checked my messages, and I'd sometimes even work while I was off so that I didn't feel guilty. And, well, it worked. After a year, I got my promised promotion, and now I had more responsibilities and a bit more pay. So I repeated the process, and it happened again, and now I lead the entire department of my company, with people reporting to me and all these responsibilities and increased pressures to do more, and wait, this is what I wanted? Sure, I make a bit more money now, but I'm now going through the motions, doing the same thing every single day, and losing the passion that I once had for the industry that I work in. I'm now trying to find more ways for the company to make more money and grow more. I'm now leading a team and spending more time managing the team than doing the work that I used to love. And for what? Oh, because if I keep it up, I can get a promotion. And that's the cycle. That's an exact example of how the Burnout Society that Han talks about in his book works. As I've progressed in this career, it's become a larger and larger part of my life. The company that I work for now feels like a part of me, a part of my personality, and a core pillar of who I am as a person. When someone asks me what I do, what do I answer with? What does everyone answer with? What I do to exchange my time for money. That's the summary of the broad question of what do you do? One time I was with one of my friends and we met this French guy. And the French guy says to us, "Oh, what do you do?" And my friend goes, "Oh, I'm a software engineer." And the French guy looked at us and was like, "That's cool. I don't really care what your job is. I'm wondering what you do." And my friend was so confused. And the guy goes, "Here, I'll give you an example. I like to play chess." And ever since this happened, I actually think it's a bit wild how in America, we answer the question of what do you do with what do you do for work. And that just shows that work has become far too important in our lives. But along the way, as I've progressed in this career, I've lost hobbies like playing the piano and gaming, and I spend more time and energy focused on my work to get that next promotion. I've given up time with my little brother to get more work done. I've taken my dog on less walks because I have more emails to send out. And, well, I feel worse off than I was before I started this journey. I'm burnt out. And chances are, you're probably in the exact same boat. Whether through your work or school or just general societal pressure to improve and change, it's easy to feel hopeless and just tired. Maybe it's the way you feel guilty for taking a break from studying or work, or the way that your to-do list somehow grows longer no matter how much you accomplish. It's that subtle anxiety when you're not doing something productive, or the impulse to turn even hobbies into side hustles. Han's ideas are not just abstract philosophy. They describe the invisible weight that many of us carry in our work, relationships, and leisure time. The pressure to constantly improve, hustle, and optimize doesn't come from some distant authority. It's embedded in the way that we measure our self-worth. And the more we buy into it, the more we sacrifice real rest, joy, and connection for an endless race with no finish line. It's time to reclaim your life from external pressures. When you were little, what was your dream? Mine was to be a cowboy. Not a very practical career path considering that we don't live in 1800s Texas, but that was my dream anyways. The way that movie cowboys carried themselves was just so cool to me, and I played with all the cowboy toys and played Red Dead Redemption, and wow, what a cool thing to aspire to be. Maybe yours was an astronaut, a firefighter, a police officer, a pirate. Maybe it was Iron Man, who knows? But chances are you had a dream of what you wanted to be, and that dream wasn't just the title that goes on your LinkedIn profile. It was your ideals and your vision for your life as a whole. Pirates are full of adventure and risk-taking, astronauts are explorers and scientists, and firefighters save lives. What happened to those dreams? How did you end up changing that out for being an accountant or an account manager at a sales company? How are you defining that as your entire dream now? Because you need money to survive, and believe it or not, pirates don't make a lot of money in 2025. I get that, and I can't pretend like money isn't the driving force behind a lot of adult decisions, especially when we're all struggling to make ends meet. But why can't you be a pirate and an accountant at the same time? Why did you have to sacrifice one dream for another? Can't you have that adventure in your own life, even with a stable job? Or that exploration that comes with being an astronaut while still working to make ends meet? You say no, but you actually can. The first step at reclaiming your life and stepping out of the burnout society is to, well, reclaim your life. Every waking second of every day in our postmodern society is trying to extract economic value from you in the form of money or attention. Every app wants to be the next one that you open, every store wants you to stop in and buy something, every hinge match is just the one that you need to fill the void in your heart. You are outsourcing your entire life to third parties in your work, your entertainment, and even in your interactions with others. So start by finding something that doesn't belong to someone else. Stop consuming 24/7. Don't click on the next thing that the Netflix algorithm wants you to watch or the next video that looks pretty. Ooh, what a cool thumbnail. Don't mindlessly open TikTok and wait for some loud noises to stimulate parts of your brain that make you feel good. Don't subscribe to Factor for your food, to Tinder Premium for your dating experiences, and whatever Google News throws your way to see what's going on in the world around you. Find a hobby or an interest that truly feels like yours, that doesn't require you to consume and allows you to create or to simply exist. Buy a singular houseplant and try to keep it alive. Pay attention to how it changes when it gets too much sun or too little water, and try to solve the problem to keep it alive. Play a video game, not to rush to the end and beat it, but to see what all the developers threw into the world. See how the game has its own unique personality and culture, and how voice actors contributed to every bit of dialogue that you hear. Who's the guy behind the voice? And maybe you can do that too. Don't play Minecraft factions to gain more power and Minecraft prison to climb the ranks and get to the next level in the server. Don't play single player to try to build something cool enough to share on YouTube or Reddit. Just play at your own discretion with no goal other than to see what weird stuff you can create, even if other people find it ugly. In fact, a lot of people consider pretty much all of my builds to be ugly, but guess what? I don't care. But the gist is, you need to do things for yourself. Not for any sort of external motivator like money or fame, but just for your own enjoyment. Start reading books, start watching indie films. I recently watched a movie called Mid-90s and started watching some other A24 movies, and they scratched an itch in my brain that I didn't even know I had. Take a step back from the achievement society, even if only occasionally, and remind yourself that you have free will. From here, just think about the fact that the only thing that really matters is right now. Nothing has ever happened in any other moment other than the present, so try to bring yourself back to that present moment throughout your day. Want to know what that feels like? Zone out for a second and realize that you can see everything in your eye at the same time. No, for real, I mean it. We always focus on things, but zoom out in your field of vision and realize that you could see everything around us, every corner of the room, at the same time through your eyes. You can also hear a lot of new noises when you do this. Notice how there are sounds both to your left and your right at the same time. What are the differences in the noises in your left ear versus your right? Maybe this sounds stupid, but it actually seemed crazy to me the first time I realized it. That experience, if it worked for you and I'm not insane, was the present. And there's nothing else that exists in this world other than what you just experienced. The internet is fake, what you watch on TV is fake, even books to a degree are fake. The only thing that truly exists is what's currently around you in this moment. So notice it and try to appreciate it as it is. Yes, with the way our economic system is designed, you do need to plan for your future, you need to pay rent, and you need to have a job. It's unfortunate, but that's the world we live in. There's no way to go against that world unless you pull a Chris McCandless and move to the Alaskan wilderness in a bus, but that's not very realistic. So keep these things in mind to keep food on the table and the lights on over your head, but realize that this future-focused thinking isn't the only thing that matters. Dogs don't know about the future and they don't know about the past. They just kind of bot out all day and notice the sounds and sights around them. And when you get home from work or off your computer, when you teleport back to the present moment that they've spent their entire lives in, they get excited to see that you've joined them. That little bit of attention that you give them makes their entire day. Just kidding, because they don't have a concept of an entire day. But it makes their entire moment, and that's the only thing that matters to them. Doing these things, slowing down and seeing the world around you and all of its weird intricacies, and connecting with other people will help to lessen that burnout that comes with the expectations of modern society. Yes, I'm still unhappy at my job, but I could fill those low points with the joy that comes from some of the other things that I've noticed in my life. Do you think that this burnout society is the world we live in? Or does Byung-Chul Han oversimplify it? Maybe we have a bit of 1984 and this world going on at the same time. Who knows? If you have any tips for people or experiences that relate to my job situation, let's chat about it in the comments. And if you like these videos, the channel, and the mission here, consider supporting by buying me a coffee using the link in the description. This channel is going to remain free from sponsors, and my goal here is to help people start to see the world around them, so if that's your vibe, consider supporting. Thank you for hanging out with me today, and we will talk again soon. If I could talk to my 18-year-old self, I would say quite a few important things, like don't break your leg in a skiing accident, requiring you to have a metal plate and screws holding your leg together for the rest of your life. Just kidding, I couldn't control that, but it would be good to know. I just turned 25, and with a quarter of a century of life experience under my belt, I feel like I've learned a bit more about life that I wish the younger version of me knew. Things that I wished I did differently, things I regret, things that would change a lot about how I approached life, friendships, and most importantly, my relationship with myself back when I was becoming an adult. I was too hard on myself, too focused on the wrong things, and too distracted to see the beautiful things in life. I was pessimistic, a little toxic, and not that enjoyable to be around. And it's because I didn't know these things that I'm about to share with you. I'm not going to sit down and pretend like I have it all together now, because trust me, I don't. And honestly, I know I still have a lot to learn. But I'm going to share 10 pieces of knowledge that I wish I knew sooner. And at the end of this list is the thing that I consider to be the most important, the thing that keeps me going when things get tough. So consider watching to the end to get the full picture here, but I won't waste your time. The first thing that I've learned throughout the last 25 years that I wished I knew sooner is that 1, good things take time, like for real. In our current culture, facilitated by social media and a game of constant comparison to every single person in existence around you at every waking moment, we're taught to believe that we need everything right now. That you should be able to start a YouTube channel and get instant success, to go viral. That we should be able to meet a girl and fall in love at first sight, become soulmates, and spend the rest of our lives together happily ever after. And that you can accomplish all of your goals and dreams in the span of a year after setting some New Year's resolutions. In fact, a year is considered a long time for our generation. The idea of sitting down and committing to something for an entire year is something that many people can't even imagine. Like for real, when was the last time that you committed to try something new or improve a skill for 12 entire months? If you were like me, before I realized that good things take time, it probably has never truly happened. You may try something with half effort for a few months or with intense effort for 2 weeks, which results in that inevitable burnout, but a whole year is almost unimaginable for many people, myself included. This changed for me when one of my friends told me that he'd been working on a software product that he was coding in his spare time for over 4 years, and he didn't even have anything to show for it yet. I asked him if he planned on launching the product anytime soon, and he just said that he wants to spend more time on it, and he wasn't sure when it would launch. 4 years, and he was just getting started. After this conversation, I started to realize that the more frustrated I got with my progress on things, the more likely I was to quit those things. And then the goals that I had in my head would never come to fruition because instead of taking my time to build something meaningful, I was expecting instant results and success. So if you want something valuable, you need to be patient with yourself. Whether you want a new job, a new skill, new friendships, a better body, more discipline, or more progress in your life, you're going to have to work on it for the long run. You don't have a soulmate without constant effort going towards growing and maintaining your relationship. You don't have a business without years of work, and you don't get in shape in 2 months of inconsistent workouts. You need to play the long game because good things take time. 2. It's the quality of your friends that matter, not the quantity. When I was in college, I tried to be friends with everyone. New people were like a drug to me, a potential person that I could become friends with, another body to have at my birthday party where I feel special, and a new connection that I could later utilize. Who knows what the next person I meet will bring? Maybe they'll be my future business partner, or my new gaming friend, or maybe even my new best friend. I was friendly with everyone, and my social circle did grow quite a bit. But the bigger it got, the harder it was to connect with any of these people. I pushed away my closest friends, the ones who would pick me up on the side of the road if I got stranded, to hang out with a new person and drink beer together. It was about the quantity of friends for me, not the quality. I don't know if I was just trying to prove that I was cool enough to have friends or to increase my Instagram follower count or just to feel like I fit in with people that I didn't really fit in with. Who knows, but what I did learn was that the quality of your friends is what truly matters, not the quantity. A handful of meaningful friendships will do far more for your sense of belonging than 1 million surface-level drinking buddies. Truly knowing and understanding another person is the best way to feel like you have a place in the world. So focusing on maintaining and building these true friendships is far more important than meeting a bunch of new people all the time. 3. It's cool to care about things. The internet, and for some reason, especially the gaming space, has taught people that it's not cool to care about something passionately. You don't want to be labeled as a tryhard, and it's cringe to show that you care about stuff. That you're excited when you see a family member. That you're eager to ask a girl out on a date, or that you put in the extra effort to comb your hair, dress nice, and maintain your hygiene. This is particularly bad for men, as the red pill community and the people who think stoicism is the answer to all of life's problems have encouraged men to not show that they care about things, to not show emotion, to not go above and beyond, and to sit back and act nonchalant about everything. But I think it's cool to actually care. I think it's a respectable quality to buy your friend a birthday gift and say happy birthday. I think it's good to go above and beyond to make someone feel special, to focus on the quality of your work, to create something that you're truly proud of. When I first got to college, I didn't want my mom around. I felt like a loser going out to eat with my mom and spending time with family who went out of their way to visit me. In high school, I thought it was lame to try and get good grades, to sit in the front of the classroom and actually pay attention to what I'm attending school to learn. And to try to be good at video games, I was just asking to get made fun of. But as I've gotten older, I've learned that trying hard is part of what makes life so interesting. It's how you get excited about stuff, improve your skills, and make those new friends. Nobody wants to be around someone that's drab and monotone all the time, so don't be afraid to show that you care about something. Even in your job, this goes a long way. If you actually like what you do, or at least try to show that you care about doing good work, you're in a much better position than most of the population. If you show a girl that you like her, open the door for her, smile, and seem excited to talk to her when she's around, you're much more likely to stand out among a sea of uninteresting, scared, boring guys. Showing that you care is good, with everything really. Number 4, be authentic to yourself. Don't shape your life to appeal to other people. That period of college when I was trying to be friends with everyone caused me to shift away from my authentic self. I've been a big nerd and a big gamer for pretty much my entire life, but when I started meeting more popular people who were considered cool, I shifted away from those natural interests and ended up trying harder to fit in with people who I didn't really fit in with. I played down my interest in those nerdy topics or avoided the conversations altogether. I tried to act like I cared about watching football, when in reality, I've never cared about watching football. Also, if you hear a bit of background noise, for some reason there's an entire construction crew in my apartment, and I don't really know what they're doing. So just pretend that's the sound of me constructing my dream Minecraft world in the gameplay. Anyways, yeah, I pretended to like watching football. I kept doing things that made me appealing to the people that I wanted to fit in with, and I lost the things that I truly cared about. And this probably happens to you as well, especially when you're on the outskirts of a group that you don't truly fit in with. The thing is, doing this causes you to lose touch with yourself and to feel even more out of place. Trying to fit in isn't going to work because you're pretending to be someone that you aren't. Not only does this hurt you with that group that you're trying to fit in with, it also causes a lot of anxiety and uncertainty around your identity. True friends and genuine people will understand you for who you truly are, not for who you pretend to be. My friends in my group chat made fun of me occasionally for doing yoga and eating healthy, but I'm proud of these qualities. So I started ignoring their comments and they stopped making them when they saw that they couldn't get a reaction out of me. They realized that this is who I am now, and they don't try to change it or judge anymore. This applies not only with your personality, but also with your moral compass. If you have a firm set of morals that you believe in, and you see something as wrong and going against these morals, caving in or pretending like you don't believe strongly about a thing is the most devastating thing that you can do for yourself. If you don't have a backbone and can stand up for what you believe in, you might as well believe in nothing. So don't be afraid to get some pushback for saying what you believe. Number 5, call your grandparents. I wish I had more grandparents. Now that I've gotten older and many of them have passed away, I wish I spent more time with them. I wish I was more patient with them, more accepting and more loving. My grandpa used to drive 30 to 45 minutes every single Saturday to bring me donuts, rain or shine. He would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, go to the local donut shop in my hometown, get the donuts, and drive for an hour to an hour and a half round trip to bring them to me. And the only thing I ever thought was that it was annoying how he came so early. He came to every single one of my baseball games. He would do anything for me and my siblings, and I blew him off because I wanted to play video games. He passed away when I was 16, and I didn't even know he was sick because I didn't take the time to get to know him. And he didn't really care. He was still there for me with all those stupid donuts every single Saturday and watching every single baseball game I ever played. I would do anything to go back and give him the time and attention he deserves, to ask him questions about his life and all of the things that I never learned about him, and to call him and talk to him because I'm pretty sure he was bored sitting at home all the time and doing whatever it is that old retired people do. So if you have grandparents, give them a call. Every time I call my grandma, I hear the genuine joy in her voice from the excitement of just receiving a phone call. Nobody calls her anymore, so to hear the ring and see her grandchild on the caller ID probably makes her entire week. There's also so much that we can learn from older people. Social media and politics have made us convinced that old people are just a strain on society with outdated beliefs and toxic behaviors, but these people have been through a lot, and I think we can learn a lot of life lessons from our elders. I mean, if your grandparent was 80 years old right now, they would have lived through the end of World War II, the Civil Rights Movement, the Cold War, the widespread adoption of television, antibiotics, mobile phones, and the internet, and the freaking moon landing. Who else has lived through so many technological and cultural moments in history? So as much as you want to ignore them and write them off and think they're outdated, your grandparents can teach you a lot. Give them a call and spend time with them before it's too late. I've regretted my relationship with my grandpa for nearly 10 years now, and I don't want you to feel the same way. Number 6, eat food that comes from the earth. One of the best things that I've ever done for my mental and physical health was switching to a diet primarily focused around whole foods, things that you can find in nature. For some reason, it's become normal to eat foods that shouldn't even be classified as foods. So much of our food system is focused around processed garbage, full of artificial ingredients and pounds of sugar, that it's almost impossible not to eat badly unless you spend a lot of time, money, and energy focusing on every single calorie that you put into your body. Eating healthy is hard and expensive, or at least that's what you think. The reality is, eating clean is quite easy. You just have to eat like humans have eaten throughout all of history by consuming foods that are as close to their natural form as possible. If something exists in nature, it's probably much better for you than something made in a factory. Sure, it's a little more nuanced than that, and I'm probably going to get some pushback in the comments, but it's much easier to eat healthy if you limit the amount of processed foods going into your body, and this is undeniable. It's easy to sit down and eat an entire bag of chips or cookies, but have you ever tried to binge eat grapes or almonds? It's probably still possible, but it's much harder to do. Processed foods are designed to be hyperpalatable, rapidly absorbed, and rewarding to the brain, which stimulates addictive-like eating behaviors and disrupts appetite regulation. Processed foods have way higher concentrations of sugar, fat, and salt, which trigger feelings in your brain that you just don't get in natural whole foods. The sugar in many fruits is supplemented with the fiber that's required to more easily digest these foods, and popcorn has much more protein per serving than processed corn chips. So of course, eating these more natural foods is going to feel different than just shoving empty calories into your mouth that are designed to literally keep you buying more of them. I used to eat a lot of snacks, a lot of fast food, and a lot of processed sweets. They were like crack to me, and since I didn't gain weight because of my fast metabolism, I thought it wasn't a big deal. But when I switched to a diet focused on around 90% whole foods with only occasional cheat snacks, my sleep improved, my mood was more stable, my work ethic was more consistent, I procrastinated less, and the list goes on. Changing these things helped to improve my mental and physical health on nearly every single level, and it was single-handedly the best decision I've ever made in regard to my personal well-being. I'm not going to preach to you to tell you what you should or shouldn't do, but if you want to feel better, consider changing your diet to be focused around foods like these, and I really don't think you'll regret it. Number 7, find one thing that you can learn a lot about instead of trying to do it all. Social media has caused everyone to believe that they need to maximize their life, to make the most of it all, to develop every hobby and do this and do that and be a jack of all trades. The cool guy is the one who takes skateboards and takes film photos and flies drones and is a gamer and works out, and the list goes on. We're expected to do it all, and the more we do, the more we appeal to other people. I always wanted to be the cool guy with a diverse set of interests in college. So I tried to learn new hobbies and skills. I tried to play the keyboard, I tried to wakeboard, I got into spikeball, and I tried to get good at Counter-Strike, while taking classes, making YouTube videos, and doing all sorts of other stuff. My time was spread thin, and I really believed that I could do it all. But the thinner I was spread among these new interests, the less progress I made with each of them. I ended up getting a concussion from wakeboarding, having the keyboard skills of a 12-year-old, and I sucked at Counter-Strike. I was making no progress at any of these things, and it actually made me look worse than before I started, because it seemed like I was bad at everything I did. What I now know is that it's better to dive headfirst into one thing that you're extremely passionate about and get good at it. Like, really good. Make the best YouTube videos possible, try to become the best keyboard player you know, or put a lot of dedication into the gym and get into amazing shape. Pick one and stick with it, remembering that good things take time and committing yourself to this new phase of your life until you decide to move on and do something else, or until you get really good at this new skill. Diving deeply into something is how you truly discover your passions, not trying it all at a surface level all at the same time. What I'm diving into right now is building a Minecraft community for everyone watching this channel. I've been learning a lot about how to make a good server, and I launched an exclusive whitelist-only Minecraft server for everyone who watches these videos, with a lot of help, of course. It's been running for the last 6 months, and it's a friendly, close-knit community of like-minded people who've banded together to build towns, farms, road networks, subway systems, minigames, and so much more. It's open only for members of our Discord, so if you want to join, check it out in the description. There's currently a waitlist to get in of about 100 to 200 people, and we whitelist everyone in the order that they applied every Saturday, so you can hop on that list and wait for your spot, or get instant access if you become a monthly supporter on the Buy Me a Coffee page that's also linked in the description. This is how we keep the server up and running, since it has no microtransactions or loot boxes, and it comes with some special perks in both the Discord and in the server. So consider supporting if this sounds like your jam, and I will see you on the Discord and the Minecraft server soon. Now, for the next one. Number 8, you don't need a girlfriend. Now I know, I made a video with a thumbnail that said you need a girlfriend, but I'm here to tell you right now that you don't. And if you watched the video, you'll know that that wasn't the point of that video either, but hey, I gotta get people to watch these videos somehow. Anyways, it's easy to tell yourself that your life will improve, will get drastically better when you have a girlfriend. and seeing pictures of happy couples on social media may make you think that this is the case, that getting a girlfriend is the ultimate goal of life. And while yes, having someone you love and can spend the rest of your life with is in fact the goal, you still don't need a girlfriend. I spent a lot of my time thinking that I needed one, that if I just did X, Y, and Z and improved my looks, my personality, and my financial situation, I'd be able to get one. Like it was some sort of weird magical trophy that I had to work hard to earn. But I never had one, I never found the girl I wanted, and I always felt lonely and incomplete. What I didn't realize is that I needed to change my relationship with how I approached dating. That I needed to work on becoming a better person who was more mature, better at handling emotions, and more experienced in life as a whole before I was worried about getting a girlfriend. My fundamental underlying personal issues were always a problem for me, and they would continue to prevent me from getting the girlfriend that I always wanted. And I needed to take steps to improve my life and fix my issues before worrying about dating. When I stopped caring so much about trying to attract women is when I met my girlfriend, who I am now confident that I'm going to marry one day. When I realized that I didn't need a girlfriend to become the person that I'd always wanted to become is when I, started to actually become that person. And my girlfriend loves me for who I am now, not for who I'll one day become. That's the harsh reality of dating. You need to find yourself before you try to find someone else who can help you fill that void. A good relationship isn't the commonly discussed scenario where two halves make a whole. A good relationship makes two full people and combines them into something even more beautiful. So try to become that full person yourself, and you will have much more success in relationships, I promise you. I do want to make this topic into a full video, so if that's something you'd like to hear more about, let me know in the comments and I can make it happen. Number 9, social media is ruining your life. Seriously. I have friends with 8, 9, and 10 hours a day of mindless social media time, where every waking hour of their day is spent consuming content with no end, scrolling pointlessly through whatever noise the algorithm decides to show them, and drowning out any and all boredom in their day with an endless array of pointless social media content. They aren't human anymore, they are worker drones doing whatever algorithms controlled by all-powerful corporations decide that they should do, buying what their suggestions say that they should buy. We've never been so distracted in our lives, and we're missing out on a fundamental part of what it means to be human while we're walking around with our heads in our phones all day. Social media is ruining human connection, and it's making the world feel empty and shallow in a way that we've never truly experienced before. The people around you are invisible, while you try to form connections with fake people who aren't even in your country through the internet. A laugh or a smile from a stranger is masked with emojis that are sent in your group chat. And memories are stored in the form of Instagram stories or Snapchats, with no real connection to the world in which the memory took place. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. You're also constantly comparing yourself to fake people online. You're shifting your personal beliefs and preferences to what the algorithm shows you. You're buying stuff being funneled to you with intense targeting that you can't escape. Social media knows more about you than you know about you, and this information is being used to manipulate you to do things that you don't actually want to do. And that's why I switched to the sponsor of today. I'm just kidding. But this would be a pretty good segue if I was. Okay, I'm not going to blame a specific billionaire or some all-seeing eye of government. The algorithms simply do what they were built to do, extract money from you around every corner. I stepped back from social media a while ago, and it was maybe the best decision that I've ever made for my mental sanity. I'm not very active on Instagram, I don't have a Twitter, I've never had a TikTok, and I don't regret it whatsoever. Sure, I'm a bit out of the loop on the cultural trends like Dubai chocolate, Labubu, Taylor Swift engagement, whatever other stuff people are talking about, but my peace of mind is amazing. Not being locked into the news and the endless cycle of doom is a great feeling, and while some people may say that it makes me naive and unaware, I don't really care. We aren't made to be this connected to information in the world around us, and I'm fine checking out of that system to enjoy my day-to-day life a bit more. Social media was literally ruining my life, and I didn't even know it, and taking a step back from it, limiting my consumption, and reclaiming my life from algorithmic suggestions genuinely changed my life. So I encourage you to try it. It may just do the same for you. And finally, number 10, the world is going to be okay. We have persevered for this long. The old me was super pessimistic. I saw the dark sides of everything, and I always thought the world was doomed, that everything was going downhill, and that I was just along for the ride. But one thing I've learned as I've gotten older is that everything will probably be okay. I know the world feels like it's getting more chaotic, and it probably is. But the thing is, we've been in far worse situations as humans. I'd much rather deal with what we have going on today than to go back to World War I or World War II France. I'd much rather be policed by all-seeing corporations trying to extract maximum value out of me than to go back to the Black Plague. We're really in the best place we've ever been throughout history. Hate is on the decline. I mean, look at some of the progress that we've made as a society in the last 20 years alone. I know, we aren't where we need to be, and we'll never be where we need to be, but that should be something that gives you hope instead of despair. We have unlimited information through the internet. We have antibiotics and vaccines that keep us alive, and I can keep going. I know some people will say that I'm insensitive and that I don't see all of the things going on, but I do. I know that there are still some really bad and tragic things happening out there, that there are some very terrible people whose only goal is to ruin lives and spread hate, but as a whole, we are doing pretty good. We know more about our environment and how to stop global warming than we ever have. I mean, if you look at the level of pollution in New York City in the 1800s, it's definitely better now than it was back then. We're switching to more green energy than ever before worldwide. Our food system is improving, mental health resources are the most accessible they've ever been, and we're set up for the best chance of success that we could possibly have. Humans have had it far worse than we have throughout literally all of history, so we should see that as a positive, and see not how much further we have to go to make the world a perfect utopia, but how far we've come from the hellhole that this world used to be. Again, I don't expect everyone to agree with this part, but I firmly believe it in my heart. And the point of this channel, and pretty much everything I do here, is to reinforce this idea and give people some hope. So if you want something a bit more optimistic, consider liking and subscribing to the channel and joining the Discord to chat. Now that I'm 25 years old, I feel like I know a bit more about the world. I still know nothing in the grand scheme of things, but that's the journey of life, and the more I learn, the more I'm going to share on this channel. This was originally supposed to be a video about 25 things I've learned in 25 years, but it ended up being way too long, so if you want a part 2 of this, I actually have 15 more things that I could easily share with you, so let me know if you want to see that in the comments. If you enjoyed this content, consider buying me a coffee using the link in the description, and we will talk again soon. Old Minecraft worlds felt different, felt exciting, felt charming. Or did they? Were they really different, or are you looking at them now with rose-colored glasses? This is a conversation that's been overdone on YouTube to eternity, and every YouTuber on the planet has made a nostalgia bait video simply repeating the phrase, "It used to be so much better," until you feel an emotion. That's not the point of this video, but I will say this. Yes, Minecraft worlds did used to feel different, and the reason why isn't what you think. Let's start at the beginning. I've played Minecraft for over 15 years, and I'm 25 years old. That's over half my life spent playing a singular game. I've watched this game evolve from zombies dropping feathers and your character giving that sound when you take damage, to trial chambers, happy ghasts, and whatever else Mojang decides to cram into this already overstuffed game with every new update. The game is undeniably better now, more polished, and more exciting. There's so much to do, so many things to see and accomplish. The game is truly awesome. But even with the wide array of content found in newer versions, your worlds don't feel the same. They feel empty and forced, and it's nearly impossible to hop on a Minecraft world and continue to stay interested in it for more than a few months. That's why that forever world trend took off on YouTube. People felt this way and wanted to go back to how it was before, where a forever world was the norm, and continuing to play and build in a world and watch it evolve into a beautiful collage of ideas wasn't an unusual thing to do. So why exactly do these old worlds feel different? The answer is simple, and it's related to a little word called charm. The thing that makes a game have soul, the very thing that your modern Minecraft worlds are lacking. Old Minecraft worlds were chock full of this charm, whether you liked it or not. The game was simple. The version that I play in these videos that I've gotten hundreds of comments about without acknowledging, sorry about that, is version 1.1, one of the earliest full-released versions of the game that's still enjoyable to play today. This version of Minecraft lacks nearly everything that you've come to associate with the modern Minecraft experience. The only way to get XP in Minecraft 1.1 is to kill mobs. That's it, and you'd be surprised how hard it is to get 30 levels when that's the only way to gain XP. There are no horses, no emeralds, 2 types of flowers, no sideways logs, no withers. Heck, there aren't even multiple types of planks. The only wood planks in this game are oak planks, and if you take a birch tree and turn it into planks, it still gives you these. This version of the game has 80 different block types. For context, 1.21 has over 800. It has less than 1/10 of the amount of content, but I keep coming back to it. It's archaic, and it makes no sense why I would enjoy this version of the game over more modern, fleshed out versions of the game. And no, I'm not blinded by nostalgia. I genuinely like Minecraft 1.1 better than most other versions. And the reason why is that charm. And that's why I love the world that I play in these videos more than any world I've created in years. See, old Minecraft is insanely simple and underdeveloped, but that's actually what I like about it. More options don't necessarily mean more enjoyment. Breadth doesn't equal depth. The depth of experience in Minecraft 1.1 is so much higher for me because of how restricted I am. In this version of the game, you have to get creative. You have to solve problems. There aren't an endless array of things to do, things to acquire, and building styles to choose from. You're stuck with what you have, and you gotta try to find ways to build the world that you want to build using these limited resources. You don't have to make 100 decisions about what to do next because there aren't that many options. It's simple, and it allows you to play Minecraft the way that I feel is the best way to play the game, as a true sandbox. Modern gaming has made us think that a true sandbox is one that gives you as many tools as possible to create what you want. The more the merrier, and with more resources you can craft crazier and crazier creations that are bound to impress. I mean, people have built full-scale replicas of the entire Earth in modern Minecraft, and this is something that wouldn't have been possible in the version that I choose to play. That's better, right? That's what a sandbox is supposed to be. But go back to when you were a kid. Did you ever have an actual sandbox? If you did, what did it look like? It was a box with sand. Maybe you had some shovels and toys, a few trucks, and a few action figures, but the focus of the experience was the sandbox itself. My dad worked at a construction company when I was growing up, and one time brought an entire dump truck load of sand to our backyard for me and my stepbrother to play in. He didn't bring me 15 types of sand with some clay and some other building materials for us to create a miniature Taj Mahal. He brought us some sand. That was it. But you know what we did with that sand? We carved out racetracks for our toy cars, built forts, dug tunnels to China. Imagine that we were stranded in a cave, saved our Power Ranger toys from quicksand, and had sand fights, and the list goes on. The childhood memories and joy that a single pile of sand gave my brother and I are some of the best memories of my entire childhood, and I consider that sand pile experience to be a very charming one. Building with Legos was the same way. The Legos that I had as a kid felt like I was opening a Pandora's box of possibilities. My parents never bought me those super nice Lego kits, they just bought me like a miscellaneous array of Legos. Throw a bunch of randomly sized pieces into a big box and let's see what we can make. And I built cities, planes, alien spaceships, and anything I could ever imagine. But if I were to buy a modern $100 Lego set, what would I be able to create with it? The Empire State Building? I could follow some instructions to recreate whatever appeared on the box. How exciting. Modern Minecraft and modern Minecraft content is the exact same way. I touched on this before, but as the game has evolved, a sort of Minecraft code has been developed. Stairs are the best block to give you a pointed roof. Glass panes look better than glass blocks. Wood or gravel or paths are the best way to connect buildings together. These Minecraft conventions have become the common language of the game, and doing anything different is odd. Now, don't get me wrong, there's no issue with this, and I love seeing what people build. But the language of the game itself has evolved in a way that makes certain things common knowledge. Nobody plays Minecraft and combines all of their crops in one giant field. Nobody breeds multiple animals into one pen or puts the chickens with the cows and the pigs with the sheep. Nobody leaves the top of the tree floating because it's ugly. Nobody lights the paths in their mines with netherrack that you light on fire. It's not that I disagree that these things aren't the ideal way to do stuff, but does that mean that you have to do it that way? My point is this. The first reason that old Minecraft worlds have charm, and maybe your new ones don't, is because when you played on them, you likely had to develop creative approaches to how you did things. If you wanted to spend hours building a complicated, asymmetrical multi-tree treehouse where you didn't really know what you were doing, you just did it. instead of trying to find the best, most aesthetically pleasing treehouse design online. That's what I've been doing, and this treehouse is my favorite thing in my entire Minecraft world, and it's the coolest thing that I've built in years. You didn't use standard game conventions as the guiding force behind your decisions. My earliest Minecraft worlds are extremely ugly to everyone else's standards, with 3-block high brick roofs, glowstone floors, and entire walls of furnaces, but they're the most charming worlds that I've ever built because they were truly mine. They were a recreation of what my weird brain was able to come up with. So if you want to make your Minecraft worlds feel more whole and alive, make them for you. Not for what you think looks best, or to impress other people, or to make your world have a cohesive theme and style. Make it based on what your little primate brain wants next. Want to build a cobblestone fort? Why not? Treat your world as that sandbox or that box of assorted Legos and see what you can create. And you don't have to go into old versions of the game to do this. To make your worlds have charm, you don't only need to build more creatively, but you also need to stick with it. If you play a lot of video games, you know what happens if you pick up a new game and then stop after 45 minutes. You lose interest. If you only get through the introductory cutscenes of a game, you won't care much to pick it back up when you return. If you watch half of a movie, you're not going to be interested in finishing it 2 weeks later, so why are you doing the same with Minecraft worlds? When I started this Minecraft 1.1 world, it was forced. I needed footage for these videos, so I started messing around and building some stuff just to have some background stimulation. I started by clearing some trees, planting some crops, and building the foundation of my house. It wasn't interesting, and I wasn't particularly enjoying it, but I kept at it because I needed footage. Then I finished my house. Then I built some paths and a tower, and before long, I felt myself starting to actually enjoy this world. I wanted to record more footage so that I could keep playing on it. My mind opened up, I got more ideas, and I started to see the world evolve into something that was a true representation of what my mind was telling me to build. It became a little time capsule of my thought patterns, and now when I hop on, I love just walking from my base to my current treehouse project to see how things have evolved along the way. It's transformed from a way to pass the time to an endless canvas that I can continue to expand when I come up with new ideas. The consistency of forcing my way through the boring phases that make every world feel the same when I first started turned into a true desire to keep going at it. See, when you start a new world, every time you get bored, you don't ever get attached to the worlds, just like you don't if you stop playing a new game before you get far along. Charm and character go hand in hand, so if you don't spend the time to give your world its own unique character, you aren't going to feel attached to it and it's not going to have charm. So continue to push through on a new world if your interest wanes in the early days, and eventually you will feel drawn to it. Your world will start to feel like those old Minecraft worlds did, charming. And if you continue to challenge yourself to build things that you normally wouldn't, using styles that you normally wouldn't use without looking up tutorials on YouTube and just doing whatever comes to mind for no reason other than to challenge yourself, you'll feel better about how you spend your time in Minecraft. Build ugly builds, experiment with redstone, and see what you can do in that sandbox that you're itching to get your hands into. That's it for our talk today, and we will talk again soon. Imagine being charged extra for medications because you eat fast food once per week. Imagine your dream job refusing to hire you because you play video games until 1 a.m. sometimes on weekends. Or car insurance companies charging you double because you drive 10 miles per hour over the speed limit at times. Or grocery stores charging you 10% more for your groceries because you just got a raise at your new job. These things sound insane, dystopian, and unbelievable. They sound like fear-mongering propaganda to try to sell you a NordVPN subscription, and you probably shouldn't be concerned with far-fetched ideas like that, right? Well, sorry to break it to you, but stuff like this is already happening. A 2023 test in Belgium found that Uber was charging users more money for the exact same ride to the exact same destination at the exact same time when they had lower phone battery. That desperation of getting home before your phone died was utilized by Uber as a way to charge you more money for the same thing. Allstate, an American insurance company, was caught charging people who didn't shop around for rates before signing an insurance policy more money, since they were less likely to cancel their plan for more affordable options in the future. And my personal favorite example was when Toyota denied a warranty on a car that was literally marketed as a track racing car because the owner took it and drove it on a track and posted it on social media. And Toyota denied his warranty when the car broke because he took it on a track and they decided that that was irresponsible usage. Crazy stuff. But you know how all these companies got this information? How Uber knew your battery was low, how Allstate knew you were less likely to browse other options, and how Toyota knew about the warranty? Because they were spying on you. And if you think all of this is bad, just wait until I tell you about the surveillance capitalism machine that companies like Palantir are helping to create. I can go on and on about how all these large corporations are using your data to manipulate you, but I think you get the gist. You're being tracked during every waking second of your internet experience, and every click, linger, like, comment, and message is being logged, building a personalized profile of your preferences without you even knowing about it. And if you think that this doesn't really matter, I'm going to explain to you why it really does. I used to be the guy who said, I mean, who cares if they track me? What are they going to do knowing that I just bought 1,000 mine coins in Minecraft? Who cares if these companies know that I eat Chick-fil-A once a month or that I love coffee? Let them track me. It's not like I'm doing anything illegal. And while I understand that argument, that isn't really the only concern anymore. It's not that simple. This data doesn't exist in a vacuum. These companies don't look at your social media likes and say, oh wow, this guy watches a lot of thirst trap videos of attractive girls on TikTok, and then move on with their lives, maybe trying to sell you a virtual girlfriend subscription or something like that. It's not that simple. It's more along the lines of, oh wow, this guy watches a lot of thirst trap videos of attractive girls on TikTok. And combined with his social media usage habits, purchases, the fact that he has 3 to 4 dating apps on his phone, has swiped right 500 times in a week, and has searched how to meet girls 3 times in the last month, we've determined that he gets lonely on Friday nights when he's at home, that he's more likely to click on gambling ads to try to find some excitement, and that based on his income and spending, we could compare him to other users of a similar demographic to estimate that he'd be more likely to join our gambling app if we show him the ad about how he could get $200 in free play credits versus the one that offers him $50 in free play credits. Data analytics companies profile you on an unfathomable level, and as the landscape continues to evolve, it's only going to get so much worse. These companies are selling not only your data, but your soul to third parties who are using your vulnerabilities to target you and manipulate you into spending money. It's not the Big Brother 1984 power dynamics of people trying to control you into obeying them. It's the Brave New World dynamics of entertaining you to death and using you for financial gain. And it needs to stop. You should worry about your online privacy, and if you watch this video until the end, I'll give you some steps to minimize your chances of stuff like this happening to you. But first, I have some more surprisingly nihilistic information to share with you to emphasize the severity of what's going on across the internet. Google is actively scanning all of your photos stored in Google Photos to train their facial recognition algorithms. They scan your emails to build a web of your social relationships. They see when you pause or click off of a YouTube video to try to build their engagement systems to more accurately keep you entertained, clicking things that will keep you watching. And your Google Drive, well, don't put anything in there that you don't want being read. It's not necessarily that I think all data being collected by all companies is bad and that nobody should track anything. It's just that I don't think many people are aware of the degree that your information is being used. And that, again, it's being used for the sole gain of these companies who only care about making more money. Every corporation on the planet cares about consistent growth. It's how the entire system is designed. So if someone like Google or Facebook already has billions of active users, there's only one way to make more money: to make each customer more valuable. To, by definition, extract more value from them, and that's where we stand today. Now, Solace, thanks for sharing, but you're ruining my vibe. This is supposed to be positive content. Well, that's the goal, but I'm also here to share what I've been thinking about lately, and the thing that's been on my mind the most is how to improve my online privacy to prevent some of this stuff from happening. I don't want to be the involuntary product of my online experiences anymore, and I want to take control of my online privacy, at least to a reasonable degree where I'm not being manipulated and tracked behind the scenes. So let's talk about how I do that and how you can do it for little to no cost for yourself as well. We're going to start with the easiest things to do and end with the more complicated ones, but all of these, especially when combined, make a significant difference with your online privacy. Let's start with the absolute easiest wins that literally take minutes to implement and immediately cut down on how much these companies can track you. Change your browser privacy settings. This is honestly the biggest bang for your buck. Open up your browser right now, whether that's Chrome, Firefox, Safari, or whatever, and look for privacy or privacy and security in your settings. You want to start by telling your browser to block third-party cookies, which are basically little tracking files that advertisers place on websites to follow you around the internet. I'd also recommend turning on some of the ad privacy settings, stop sending your browsing data to Google, and turn off syncing, particularly if you're on Chrome. This stuff stops advertisers from building a profile of every website you visit and prevents that creepy thing where you look at a product once and then you see ads for it everywhere for the next month. These changes are minor, but they make a big difference. To be honest, I'd recommend switching from Chrome in general to something like Brave or Firefox. Brave is basically a reskinned Chrome that strips all of Google's obnoxious tracking, and Firefox allows for a lot of customization to put you in control of your privacy as you should be. There's also LibreWolf, which is like both of these on steroids, but I don't think it's completely necessary to go that hardcore, and honestly, I'm a Firefox fan myself. But getting away from Chrome is going to be an upgrade regardless, so pick your poison and you've already taken a massive step towards improving your online privacy. Next, you want to switch to DuckDuckGo or Brave. This one takes literally 30 seconds. Instead of Google, start using DuckDuckGo for your searches. Google builds an entire psychological profile based on what you search for. They know when you're sick, when you're job hunting, when you're having relationship problems, all of it. DuckDuckGo doesn't store your search history or build user profiles at all. It's not about having something to hide, it's about not wanting a massive corporation to know the intimate details of your curiosity and concerns. Now, there are some downsides here. I use Brave, but sometimes their search indexing is straight trash, so I have to hop back on Google to search for something when I can't find the results on Brave. But this still does a lot because now I'm only using Google for like 10% of the time instead of 100% of the time, and their profile of me is just a little bit smaller than it would be otherwise. Install uBlock Origin. This is probably the single most effective thing that you can do for your privacy, and it takes 30 seconds to install. uBlock Origin is both an ad blocker and a content blocker that physically prevents tracking scripts from loading on websites. Instead of asking companies nicely not to track you through your browser settings, which they often ignore, this extension just stops their tracking code from running in the first place. The moment that you install it, YouTube ads disappear, maybe except for mine if you want to whitelist my channel. Websites load way faster because you're not downloading tracking scripts, and companies like Google and Facebook can't follow you around the internet through their tracking pixels on other sites. It blocks everything: Google Analytics, social media trackers, fingerprinting scripts, malicious websites, all of that stuff. Your browser will actually use less memory and battery too, since it's not processing all of that garbage every single time you try to load a page. Just go to your browser's extension store and search for uBlock Origin, and it works perfectly out of the box. Keep in mind that it works better on Firefox than Chrome, because Google has been trying to get rid of extensions like this for a while, and I'm pretty sure eventually they're going to make it impossible for them to work at all. But regardless of what browser you use, this one extension will probably block more tracking than everything else combined. Fix your social media privacy settings. This takes maybe 10 to 15 minutes per platform, but go into Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever you use, and turn off location tracking, ad personalization, and off-platform data sharing. And if you can, make your accounts private. I don't think there's any reason for people around the internet to be able to know what you're doing or what you look like. It's just kind of odd when you really think about the dynamics of it. So turning off these settings and setting your account to private won't make you invisible, but it significantly reduces how much data these companies collect about your activities outside of their apps. All right, now we're getting into the techniques that require a bit more setup time, but also provide much better protection. Email aliases for everything. This is honestly one of my favorite privacy techniques. Instead of using your main email address everywhere, you create unique email addresses for different categories of service. So you might have one for shopping, another for stuff like medical records and finances, and another for social media accounts. What this does is it stops companies from correlating your accounts across different services. When Netflix and Spotify can't tell that they're both connected to the same person because you're using completely different email addresses, they can't share the data about your viewing and listening habits to build a more complete profile. Plus, if one of these services gets hacked or starts spamming you, you can just disable that specific alias without affecting everything else. You're basically creating a firewall between your different online activities through your email. I don't do this on an insane level because I don't have time for all that, but I do have a few different email aliases for some more important stuff. I have one for personal stuff, one for shopping, and one for social media. And if you're doing this, don't use Gmail because getting ads inside your personal email just feels wrong in so many levels. I use Proton Mail personally, and if I'm going to be honest, if I took sponsorships on this channel, they would be the first company that I'd reach out to. I actually love their stuff, and you can create multiple email aliases on one account with just a few clicks. So I could delete one and start fresh if I wanted to, and I think I could have up to like 10 at any time. And I don't get ads in my inbox. Set up a password manager. Here's the thing. Using the same password across multiple websites doesn't just create security risks, it creates privacy risks too. When companies get hacked, and they will, attackers try to leak those hacked passwords on other services. My roommate in college literally lost everything online because he used the same password for his bank, his social media, and pretty much everything else. Someone got access to one of his passwords and used it to pretty much ruin his entire online life, and it was actually terrifying. When this happened, I switched to a password manager that randomly generates passwords and saves them all in a manager that you can access with a master password. It makes your stuff more secure, but it also makes it much harder for companies to correlate your accounts through shared authentication methods. It's not primarily a privacy tool, but it has some important privacy benefits as a side effect, so I definitely recommend. I started with Keeper Password Manager, but then I switched to Proton when I switched my email since it comes with a subscription. There's a bunch out there though, and they're all kind of the same, so do your research, but I 100% recommend using one of these just for the security benefits alone. Get a VPN. Okay, now this one pisses me off a little bit because there's so many ads for VPNs across YouTube and none of them actually explain why you should use one. Using a VPN doesn't make you anonymous and it doesn't hide you from anything really. It barely makes you more secure. These ads are always like, oh, if you just so happen to be using the internet in the mall food court, people aren't going to steal your passwords. But the reality is, like, that's not really a big concern anymore with how Wi-Fi is set up. Anyways, what these things actually do is they make it harder for advertisers to track you, and that's pretty much the sole reason why I use one. And if you ever decide to sail the high seas, not that I would ever do that, but some people definitely do, it makes it much harder for you to get in trouble. As you could probably guess, I use Proton for this too, but there are a lot of other VPN options out there. But for God's sake, don't use a free one because those make money from selling your data, the exact thing that you're trying to protect against. And read the privacy policy of whichever one you choose, please, because some of these companies are sketchy. But between a VPN, a password manager, and email aliases, you're already in like the top 0.1% of people who care about online privacy, and you're less likely to be tracked in such an insane manner. Again, I want to reemphasize, it's not about pretending like you're the Unabomber and vanishing off the grid. It's about maintaining your sovereignty and not having rich billionaires spying on you, discovering your vulnerabilities, and using those to extract money from you without even realizing. Now, we're moving into techniques that require some technical knowledge and a bigger time commitment, but provide much stronger protection. Move away from Google services. This one's ironic because I'm posting this on YouTube, but if you really want to get serious about privacy, you need to reduce your dependence on Google. That means switching from Gmail, using alternatives to Google Drive, and maybe even switching from Android to iOS or a privacy-focused Android distribution. This is a big project because you have to migrate contacts, update account recovery information, and potentially change your email addresses across dozens of services. But Google's business model is literally built on surveillance. They scan your emails, analyze your photos, track your location, monitor your searches, and I could keep going. Moving away from their ecosystem eliminates a huge source of data collection. Network-level privacy. Setting up something like a Pi-hole or custom DNS filtering provides network-wide ad and tracking blocking for all the devices on your home network. Instead of relying on browser extensions on every device, you can pretty much block all the tracking across everything on your internet. This requires some networking knowledge and potentially additional hardware, but it protects every device that's connected to your network, whether it's smart TVs, phones, tablets, gaming consoles, everything. It's particularly effective for blocking DNS-based tracking and preventing smart home devices from sharing your data, but it'll probably also break a lot of stuff that you try to do on the internet. So this is one that I really only recommend if you're serious about the whole non-tracking thing. I personally don't care enough to do this, but if you do, I completely understand. Self-hosted services. The ultimate privacy protection is not being dependent on these companies at all. Hosting your own email server, cloud storage, and communication platforms is an option if you want to give it a try. I'm not going to lie, I got into the whole home hosting and self-internet sustainability thing with stuff like media servers and hosting and cloud storage and all of that, and it's kind of addicting, so fair warning. But something about it's just satisfying because when you control the servers, you control the data. No third-party company can track your behavior watching movies or playing games or analyze your files because everything stays on your hardware that you own. This does require quite a bit of technical expertise in stuff like server administration, security management, and ongoing maintenance, and it's kind of a lot of work. You're responsible for keeping everything updated, secure, and functional, and if it breaks, well, that's your fault. You can't email support. But it's really fun to mess around with, and it makes a lot of sense for certain things. But in short, here's the thing. You don't need to implement everything I've talked about in this video. The goal isn't to achieve perfect privacy because that's not possible anyways. It's to make yourself a less attractive target and reduce how much data companies can collect about you. I haven't even touched on the AI thing or the fact that every company wants to keep you at their mercy. You can dive into open source apps and all of that jazz too if you want and you just don't like being dependent on other companies. Like, I hate Microsoft's stupid AI implementation into everything, so I switched to LibreOffice, a free Microsoft Word alternative. I like Audacity for audio recording instead of Adobe Audition. DaVinci Resolve is an editing program that I just have to buy one time and I can keep using it for life. Jellyfin is a way to basically have your own version of Netflix with your own legally downloaded movies. And there are so many more options. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is just being aware of how much surveillance is happening and taking some steps to reduce it. You don't have to become a digital hermit, you just need to make it a little bit harder for these companies to turn your every click into profit. Because I promise you, it's going to get much worse, and the way our modern society is designed to keep you feeling down at the mercy of other people, it's just a bit more rewarding when you decrease just one element of your dependence on large companies, even if it's only a minor one and only on the internet. But that's kind of the idea here. Do you agree that online privacy is a big deal, or am I being dramatic and fear-mongering? I once got told that I was fear-mongering when I talked about how certain foods are bad for you, so maybe I'm doing it again. Let me know in the comments. Also, if you have any privacy recommendations of your own, let me know in the comments or over on the Discord that's linked in the description. That's it for our talk today, and we will talk again soon. You don't need a girlfriend. No matter how much you may think that you do, you really don't. We live in a world that convinces you that you always need something new. The next iPhone, the next smart device, the next game, the next video, click that one, bro. It's way more entertaining than what you're watching right now. We have this constant urge for what comes next, and we're never content with where we are right now. This goes not only for the endless need to consume content and products, but to network and form relationships as well. More friends is always a good thing, and a girlfriend is the only other thing you're missing, right? The need for more is a fundamentally human thing, and one could argue that there isn't anything particularly wrong with that. It's how humans have functioned for all of history. But there's one catch here: having more isn't going to make you feel better, and having a girlfriend isn't going to fix all of your problems. Let me explain. For all of high school and college, I was the guy who thought that having a girlfriend would fix all of my issues, that any and all of my shortcomings were from the fact that I was alone. I designed my entire life around the goal of getting that girl that I thought I needed. I worked out in the gym to put on muscle for the sole reason of hoping girls would find me more attractive. I went out to bars that deep down I didn't even enjoy going to in the hopes that I could meet girls. I hung out with people I didn't even like and was nice to people that didn't deserve my respect because they had connections and maybe if they liked me, they would put me in touch with their female friends. My life became an inauthentic shell of an experience because I was desperately looking for something to fill a void, an easy answer to all of my questions and problems in the form of a girlfriend. So again, I want to be clear that you don't need one. You can want one, you can have one, but believing that a girlfriend will be a solution to a problem is not the answer. and it'll cause you to shape your life in a way that tries to accomplish that goal while ignoring who you truly are and what you truly want. Great, thanks, Solace. Now I can give up all hope and sit inside sulking all day, knowing that there's never a chance for me to find meaning in the world. No, my friend, that's not my goal. Because here's the irony to all of this. I believe that finding a girl who aligns with your values, who's loving and caring and brings positivity to your life is one of the best things that can ever happen to you. I think that building something valuable and long-term with another human is the ultimate goal of life. And I think that you should try. But the way that you try and the way that you approach dating is the part that matters. Dating shouldn't be a goal to reach for some form of personal achievement. You don't get a trophy when you get a girlfriend and it's all over from there. No, getting the girlfriend is just the first step of an extremely long and continuous process of self-improvement. You have to learn to put someone else first, to care about what she thinks, to understand how she feels, process your emotions in a controlled and understandable way, manage finances, support her hobbies and interests, be affectionate, handle confrontation, and so much more. These are all things that, if you don't have an interest in learning or working on, will be massive roadblocks for a successful long-term relationship. Things that you need to learn about yourself and work on over time before you even begin to worry about finding a girlfriend. I mean, how much do you really know about yourself? What makes you smile? What are things that you see in public that bring you joy when you see them? What's something irrational that makes you angry? For me, it's when you're in a parking lot and someone is sitting there waiting on the front row parking spot, holding up the entirety of traffic. It's niche, but I know that makes me mad and it doesn't really make any sense. What's something that you find yourself getting pissed off about that's maybe a little bit silly? Are you comfortable sitting by yourself at a restaurant? Have you ever tried it? If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why? These sound like dumb questions that don't really matter, but they're just examples of things that make you, you. And if you don't know the answers to them, you need to find them before you worry about finding a girlfriend. Again, it's not about these specific stupid questions, but about figuring out who you really are. If you don't know who you aren't going to be able to fully give yourself to someone else, something that's required for a healthy relationship. Like I said before in another video, I don't agree with the idea of a relationship being two halves of people and making them into one whole. That scenario creates a relationship where both people are far more hollow than they could be. A truly beautiful relationship is one where there are two entire people combining together into something truly beautiful and powerful. Two people who understand themselves and each other, working in harmony to achieve their visions of their lives and helping each other along the way. Yeah, relationships always have arguments and bad things happen, but if you understand yourself and your partner, you can fix those problems. But if you don't even know who you are before you get into the relationship, it's a recipe for disaster. Again, you can want a girlfriend, you can try to work towards getting one, but you don't need one to figure out who you are or to fill a void. If you focus on building a full life, you can contribute more positively to the world and people around you, ultimately leading to you finding that girl that you've always been looking for. And once you find her, she will likely even make you understand more about yourself. The first step here, before worrying about getting a girlfriend, is to work on finding out who you are. Try new hobbies, have conversations with types of people that you normally wouldn't talk to, learn new skills, and try to make art even if you suck at it. Watch movies you normally wouldn't watch and play games you normally wouldn't play. Engage in conversations even if you disagree with what's being said. Talk to other humans, try new foods, and get uncomfortable by saying hi to a stranger in public. It's crazy how many 20-year-olds have developed a firm identity for themselves. You don't like the outdoors, so you don't do anything outside. You don't like country music, so you refuse to ever listen to it. You don't shave your beard, so you're never going to see what you look like with a mustache. You aren't in good shape, so you don't want to try to get into running. You decide at age 20 that you're done trying to evolve as a person, and that what you are right now is how you want to be for the rest of your life. To me, that's a crazy idea. Okay, yeah, if you're truly content with your life and you've found peak achievement and fulfillment, I'm not going to judge you for not wanting to change it. But it's pretty rare for someone human to be truly content, so simply giving up because exploring new things makes you uncomfortable is a good way to spend the remaining 60 years of your life in complete misery and isolation. You don't know what you're capable of until you force yourself to get out of your comfort zone and learn who you truly are. I drank a lot of alcohol in college and I thought it was fine. But now that I quit alcohol, I had no idea on the quality of sleep, exercise, and cognition that I was missing out on by putting literal poison into my body. Getting out of my comfort zone and feeling a bit socially isolated when compared to all of my friends who still drink all the time allowed me to establish that I do not like drinking. And now, that's a firm thing I'd never be willing to go back to. But if I didn't stop drinking because I was scared of the risk of not being invited to anything anymore, or because I was worried that people think it's weird, I wouldn't have ever known what I was missing out on. And that's the principle for finding yourself in general. Unless you can confidently say that you've already found yourself right this second, you're going to have to push beyond the boundaries of what you find comfortable to challenge your pre-existing ideas and the world around you. I'm not a communist, but I'm interested in learning more about Karl Marx and his ideas. I've never played tennis, but I'm going to start trying, even though I know I'm going to suck at it. I started doing yoga in a room full of people who were much better at it than I was. I started playing Baldur's Gate 3, even though I assumed I would never like that type of game. I just quit my job to be a full-time freelance video editor. And now I'm learning more about my video editing skill set than I would have ever imagined while I was working full-time in sales. Year by year, I'm slowly learning more about who I am. And if you do the same, instead of trying to ignore these issues by filling the void with a girlfriend, you're setting yourself up for a higher quality life experience. So again, I want to emphasize, you don't need a girlfriend to fill a void in yourself. You need to fill that void by learning more about who you are and exploring the world before you should even worry about that. Again, two halves don't make a whole in a relationship. You need two entire people to create something special. And funny enough, when I started doing this is when I found my current girlfriend who checks off all the boxes for me and makes me happier than I could have ever dreamed of being. I got closer to finding myself, and she likes me for who I am, not for who I could one day become. I stepped out of my comfort zone and found part of myself right before I met her, and these were parts of me that I didn't even know I had. And those are the things that she likes most about me, which is why I now have a girlfriend. So I hope that makes sense. No matter what gurus trying to sell you dating courses, dating apps that are trying to convince you to give them money to help you find the one, or your friends who try to make fun of you to feel better about their own insecurities think, a girl isn't going to fill that void that can only be filled by finding out more about yourself. We live in a world of passive consumption, so if you take a few steps to find those things, the world will be a much better place for everyone and you can contribute more meaningfully to it. And one by one, people will start to see that there's so much more out there than our simulated existence. What has your dating experience been like? Do you feel like you truly know yourself, or have you taken any steps to learn more about who you are and what you want out of life? Share your stories in the comments. This community is extremely open-minded and friendly, and I've seen some of the best conversations I've ever seen on the internet in these comments and over on the Discord linked in the description. We have over 4,000 members interested in topics like these who would love to chat. If you're interested in supporting the mission, consider sharing this video with a friend, and we will talk again soon. I am 25 years old, and there are quite a few things that I wish I knew sooner in life. Things that, if I heard at a younger age, would have saved me a lot of trouble in life. So today, I'm going to be sharing 10 or 11, I actually don't know how many, but some things that can set you up for success. Stuff that I wish I knew sooner, stuff that changed my worldview and allowed me to find the girl of my dreams. This channel is here to make the world feel just a little bit less overwhelming, and if you follow these tips, you may be able to avoid quite a few mistakes that I've made throughout my life. Here are 10 more things that I wish I knew sooner in life, starting with the one that's currently haunting me right now with this very channel. If you want to watch the first part of this little mini-series, I'll link it in the description. Not every hobby needs to be a side hustle. I've been passionate about YouTube, gaming, and making videos for over a decade now. I've always loved talking into a microphone, and writing is something that I truly enjoy. And that's why I started Solace, solely as a way to express myself and share my thoughts with the world in the hopes that they help people avoid some of the pitfalls that I've found throughout my life, and to talk about stuff without really caring what the algorithm thinks about it. To give you a bit of my personal backstory, I didn't have a great male role model growing up, and I kinda had to figure a lot of stuff out on my own. I had to learn how to be a man, how to provide, how to respect women, how to shave my face, how to be ambitious, to chase my dreams, and build the life that I want to build for myself. And one thing I've learned about doing it all on my own, relatively blindly, is that I have to stay on top of what's next in the journey. what my long-term vision is for my life, and how I can achieve my dreams. And now that this channel is starting to grow into something meaningful, the internet has used their algorithmic mind control powers to try to brainwash me to turn this into a side hustle. I mean, it's growing, people like it, and you can make money from YouTube, so Solace, you should become a multinational corporation, pumping out all types of ChatGPT garbage, growing my team, making 5 times the slop, and opening a Dubai headquarters. Right? It's annoying because influencers and the internet have forced us all to believe that every single thing you do needs to generate money, that every hobby needs to be a side hustle. The ultimate goal in life is to make money doing what you love. And I get it. The concept sounds great, and enjoying your work will make the rest of your life much more exciting. But this doesn't mean that everything you do needs to be tailored towards maximizing profit and producing income. And that's something I've realized particularly with this channel now that it's been growing. You can skateboard without needing to make skateboarding content. You can knit or paint without needing to sell your work on Etsy. You can play Valorant without needing to coach other players to make money. It's fine to have hobbies that aren't productive, that can't generate money, and that aren't aiming to be a side hustle. And that's what I'm forcing myself to do with this channel. It'd be pretty easy to sell out to something like BetterHelp to make some extra money now that I have a platform. I mean, shoot, online therapy is pretty aligned with what this channel is, so it would make so much sense to promote something like that. And people have reached out to me for those exact things. But it goes against every single thing that this channel is about. It goes against my reason for making this channel, and it erodes the trust of everyone who comes back to watch these videos. If I sell out to something like BetterHelp, then I lose the spark that brings me back to making content here, and the whole thing falls apart. But if I listen to all of these social media people, I'd be stupid not to take advantage of it. But I need to ignore them, and if you enjoy doing something for the sake of simply doing it, then I recommend doing the same. When I told my family that I was making YouTube videos, the first question they asked was, "How can you make money from it?" And that's a pretty common reaction these days when everything is commoditized, and when you tell someone about a new endeavor of yours, it's inevitable that they ask you how you can make money from it. But monetization in art, monetization and passion don't always go hand in hand, so I really encourage you to stay true to yourself and try not to turn every hobby into a side hustle. It will kill the passion, it will change your motivation from internal to external, and it'll suck the charm out of the thing that you used to do for enjoyment. I'm not saying you can't monetize any of your hobbies or skills, and if you're an artist or something that can make money from what you're doing, then give it a shot, sure. But you need to stay true to yourself, and the things that are really important to you should be protected from the incentives of the market. You need an outlet, you need something that you do only for you to feel full in life, to feel human. So just keep that in mind because passions are extremely hard to find these days. Don't feel pressured to turn every single hobby or interest into a side hustle, and don't worry about monetizing all of your hobbies. Making money from your hobbies is great, and if there's something you can do that could generate money, then feel free to give it a try, but just make sure that you stay aligned with your purpose for doing the thing to begin with. It's okay to show your emotions. I've spent a lot of my life hiding my emotions. As a guy, we're supposed to be stoic, to hide our feelings, our excitement, and our fear. It's cringe to care too much about something, and it's embarrassing to cry. I mean, you're a man, you should not be doing that. But showing your emotions is a big part of what makes you human. Life is complicated, and there are a lot of different emotions that you'll experience throughout the week, so why do you always try to hide the ones that other people find less acceptable? I was at my uncle's funeral a few months ago, and I tried extremely hard not to cry or to show that I was sad. I ended up spending all of my energy throughout the entire funeral, focusing on not crying, trying to mask these complex feelings that were overwhelming me. It was hard, and I did manage to hold it back, but, well, why? What made me believe that I had to do this? To be strong? To be masculine? I just lost my only uncle on my mom's side of the family, and I thought it wasn't okay to show these emotions, but it was. In fact, masking these emotions made them even more intense for me when they inevitably came out later. Hiding your anger causes you to explode. Hiding your worries causes you to feel even more anxious, instead of just talking to someone who could make you feel better. It's taken me a while, but I've learned that showing your emotions is okay. Yes, you need to be able to be reasonable, and you can't throw a temper tantrum when you don't get what you want, but showing a balance of emotions is a very normal part of the human experience, and hiding them is only going to hurt you in the long run. The reason that a lot of people feel dull is because they're afraid to experience the array of emotions that are normal in everyday life. You can't experience true happiness until you've experienced true sadness. You can't feel fulfilled if you've never felt the angst that comes with not knowing what you're doing with your life. These things are a sort of yin and yang, and to understand what light is, you need the darkness too. So stop trying to pretend like these things don't exist. Anxiety is often caused by the need for action, so look at your anxiety and try to understand what's causing it instead of just pretending that it doesn't exist. By masking it, you're doing yourself a disservice in the long run. Talk to someone. And that's why I use the sponsor of today's video, no, I'm just kidding. Read more fiction. Everyone always hypes up nonfiction because you can learn so much information. You can get a 5-hour work week, be a minimalist, learn atomic habits, and study the art of flow. And while I do love a good nonfiction book, nothing hits like some good fiction reading. I've been reading a lot of fiction lately, and it's honestly done more for me than any self-help books. My favorite series is a sci-fi series called The Expanse, and I've never been so invested into a book series in my life. I read 9 500-plus page books over the span of a year, and the characters, the plot, and the grand overarching narrative that I found in these books blew me away. There are much better ways to pass the time than scrolling or watching AI Sora videos of animals attacking children, or whatever it is that Sora people are into. And even though it isn't self-help or productivity focused, fiction is still much better than the alternatives, and you can learn a lot. Sitting down and reading a novel can actually change your life. It can teach you about new parts of the human experience that you may not have. It can give you new ideas, improve your vocabulary and focus, and help you connect the dots of humanity, if that makes sense. I recently read a book called Flowers for Algernon, about a man with an intellectual disability that goes through an experimental surgery to make him smarter. I'm not going to say anything else about this book, but it was an insanely emotional journey that single-handedly helped me be more accepting and more compassionate to those around me. If you haven't read it, I really recommend it. It can change your life. Reading this fictional story fundamentally changed my worldview, and that's just one book. Right now, I'm reading a book called Northwoods, where the main character of the story is a plot of land that was passed down from generation to generation, with the land nourishing a wide variety of people and providing for them even when they don't treat it well. I'm not even finished with this book yet, but even 1/4 of the way through it, I'm starting to feel more in tune with nature and the world around me. I'm starting to realize that everything I walk by has a story, that there's always a history which often goes unseen. If this book, Flowers for Algernon, or The Expanse sound interesting to you, I actually linked my bookshop page in the description with all of my favorite book recommendations. If you buy a book from the store, I get a 10% kickback, which helps to keep the channel ad-free and supports the mission of keeping this channel the only human place on the internet that's not full of AI garbage. It also supports local bookshops as well. Don't worry, I didn't send you to an Amazon page. So consider checking it out if you need an idea of what to read and want to support the channel. But yeah, read more fiction if you can. It's easy to talk to girls. This is another one that I'm planning an entire video on in the future, but try not to overthink it when talking to girls. I know, this is easier said than done, but at the end of the day, these girls that you're attracted to are just normal humans like you. They aren't some mythical creature that you need to communicate with in a specific way to not get murdered on the spot. They are normal people with normal interests, and they want to meet others just like you do. The reason that it feels so hard to talk to girls is because you've attached too much value to the outcomes. You're trying too hard to get a result out of your interaction with these girls, and it makes the entire exchange feel like an audition for America's Got Talent. Which ironically is why your conversations with girls don't go well, because they see that you care way too much. So try to detach from the outcomes when talking to girls and treat them like anyone else. Don't put them on a pedestal, don't dance around like a peacock trying to signal how desirable you are. Just approach it like you would approach any other interaction, and I promise you'll have much better results. Yeah, there's always the fear of rejection, but you know why you have that? It's because you only talk to girls that you're attracted to. You wouldn't be nervous about getting rejected by the old lady at the grocery store who asked you to help her get something off the shelf. You wouldn't overthink that interaction, and you'd probably just hand her whatever she asked for and go on about your day. But if an attractive girl asked you that, oh boy would that be an adventure. For real, what's the difference? The attractive girl will one day be that old lady, so why are you attaching so much value to the social interaction because she's your age and you find her attractive? Start talking to anyone you see, guy, girl, pretty, ugly, not your type, dream girl, whatever. They're all the same at the end of the day, and if you were blind, would you hesitate to talk to them in the same way? It's crazy that just because someone looks a certain way, you're nervous to say something to them. I was like that, so I'm not trying to pass over how hard it is to talk to people, but it's one of those things where a little bit of discomfort can save you a lifetime of anguish. So just talk and go on about your life, forgetting that it even happened. Moving your body improves your mental health. For some reason, mental health is looked at as this weird, isolated experience. Like your mental health is something that can be fully fixed by talking to a therapist, like I do with the sponsor of today's, I'm just kidding, or that it can be fixed by taking some experimental new supplement. The compartmentalization of Western society makes it so that everything needs a label or a category that can easily be explained and identified. So mental health is taking the shape of only the things that you're feeling, the things that are going through your brain. But I believe that mental health isn't isolated and that your overall health plays a big part in how you feel mentally. And the best way that I've found to improve my personal mental health is by improving my physical health through moving my body. Regular exercise releases endorphins, which elevate your mood and produce feelings of well-being. This effect is so strong that some studies have compared the effectiveness of moderate exercise to medication or psychotherapy for mild to moderate depression. It stimulates brain growth and reduces stress hormones. It keeps you feeling better about your body. Exercise is amazing, and regularly going on walks or going to the gym even occasionally can make a huge difference on how you feel mentally. You don't need to become an athlete. You don't need to lift weights. You don't need to get into CrossFit, okay? Just be realistic here. Going on light walks does wonders for your mental health. Step outside, go for a walk, and I promise you, you'll feel a lot better. Again, it's not that complicated. You don't have to follow what all of these gurus on Instagram are saying to find this workout split and eat this certain way and follow this morning routine. That stuff's just pretty unrealistic, and just moving your body, like literally moving your body, has the potential to make a huge impact on how you feel. Now, I'm not saying that this will work for everyone, and I'm not saying that it'll magically cure all of your issues, but if you haven't tried to exercise consistently and you can, you should give it a shot and see if it helps. I'm personally significantly happier overall when compared to before I regularly exercised, and it doesn't hurt to try it. You can't change people. In my last relationship, I acted like the entire experience was a science project, that I could shape this girl into the girl that I wanted if I just gave it enough time. I've done this with friends that have flaws, and I've seen my mom do it with people that she's dated. It's easy to believe that you can change someone and that if you just keep trying, you can erase their less desirable qualities and replace them with your own ideal version of that person, but I'm telling you now, it just isn't possible. People only change if they truly want to change, and you bothering them about it is not going to do anything. You can encourage people to be better or tell others about the things that bother you, but it's up to them if they want to act on those things. It's exhausting to try to mold someone into what you want them to be, so it's best to either accept them as they are or move on. It'll save you a lot of headache in the long run. Like, my point with this channel isn't to force you to do anything. You can ignore all of this stuff and give me a hate comment and move on with your life, but that doesn't bother me because I know that I did what I can to share the things that I find valuable. But it's up to you if you want to do something about it, and it's the same with other people too. But this next one is non-negotiable. Take time to pet your dog. I swear, if you ignore this advice, I'm going to delete the channel forever. If you have a dog, then take the time to pet your dog. This one is short, but bro, your dog lives for you, so give them some more attention. Since I've been spending more and more time at home with my remote freelance work lately, I've had much more time to spend with my dog. And it's crazy because she just lays around and hangs out all day waiting for me to pet her. If I'm busy, she'll wait. But when I'm free again, she loves being pet every single time. You know what, I'm gonna pet her right now. Bella, come here. I'm gonna pet you. So just pet your dog more. The fact that we can even have dogs as pets is a blessing, so show your dog that they're a good boy or girl. Dogs have short lifespans, and every waking moment of that lifespan is spent thinking about you and how at any minute now, you could pet them. And they're just waiting for that moment. This one is non-negotiable. No, for real, do it right now, and then come back to the video when you're done. Alcohol is ruining your life. I stopped drinking entirely at the start of this year, and now I maybe drink 1 or 2 drinks every 2 to 3 months, usually just like a glass of wine or something. Alcohol feels like this magical substance that helps you loosen up, clears all of your worries, and allows you to meet new people and make new friends, but it's ruining your life. There's nothing wrong with an occasional drink, but binge drinking is literally killing you. I drink a lot in college, like multiple days per week, every single week, and it was fun, sure, but I felt terrible all the time. I was groggy, lazy, unproductive, I ate bad, I slept bad, and I even started to develop heart problems that took years to subside. Alcohol is literal poison. You know how you get drunk? Yeah, that's the effect of your body trying to metabolize the poison to get it out of your system. Drinking 1 to 2 drinks 4 or more times per week raises the risk of premature death by up to 20%. And that's just your health. You may assume that drinking will improve your social life, which makes the negative health effects worth it. But it really doesn't. Partying just leaves you with shallow memories and friendships, and it dilutes your purpose in life. The moment that really ruined drinking for me was in 2023. In my hometown, everyone goes out and gets hammered the night before Thanksgiving. I met up with my lifelong best friend, who I don't see very often, and we went out. We took tequila shots, and we drank a bunch of drinks with hardly any food, and I absolutely blacked out. I didn't remember a single thing from the night, and I woke up at home, throwing up, sleeping on the bathroom floor in the morning. On Thanksgiving Day, my family arrived for Thanksgiving dinner, and I was so sick that I wasn't even able to join them. And this was the second to last Thanksgiving that I had with my uncle, who just passed away, but I didn't even spend time with them because of my drinking the night before. And ironically, my uncle died from drinking too much. This experience made me realize that drinking just isn't worth it, and now, other than an occasional drink with my girlfriend or a friend, I don't drink at all. And I feel so much better because of it. Nature heals you. I made an entire video on this one too, but humans need nature. Somehow, with the way that cities are designed in the US, nature's become a sort of foreign object that we have to seek out to find. We have to drive to the nearest mountain or lake or beach and visit it like it's a Disney attraction. But this is not normal, and nature was ingrained in every aspect of our everyday lives until not that long ago. This new form of life is weird, and I genuinely believe that we need to reconnect to the world around us. Go sit in a park, lie in the grass, and stare at the trees. Try not to get killed by aggressive geese at your local pond. For real, these things hate me, and they always attack me when I go near them. Try fishing, go on a nature walk, go bird watching or something. It doesn't have to be crazy, but try to spend at least a few hours in nature every single week. I walked my dog this morning, and I just stared at the squirrels doing all their weird squirrel things. Speaking of my dog, she just got kind of triggered when I said that. Bella, squirrels? Squirrels. Anyways, when was the last time that you saw one of these things that I'm not going to say because my dog's going to freak out, and just stop to look at it? Nature opens your mind, and it helps you to form new thoughts, and by admiring the natural world, we can learn a lot about ourselves and how we should be living our lives. You can pretend that you've evolved to the point in which you've surpassed nature, that you don't need it anymore, but I really think that you do. And getting into nature has had massive positive impacts on my personal life, so maybe it'll do the same for you. Community creates a foundation for the rest of your life. Self-help gurus have popularized the idea of monk mode, of putting your head down and grinding and locking yourself into a room to work hard and try to achieve your goals. You have to work just a little bit harder than everyone else, and you need to lock in, bro. Don't try dating until you're successful. Don't hang out with your friends until you reach your goals. Life has become a solo self-improvement endeavor, and you just have to win at it by trying to be better than everyone else. But this mentality is a large part of why so many people feel lost and empty inside. Chasing success on an individual level is pointless if you don't have anyone to share that success with. At the end of the day, you won't be happy. What you need to do instead is work on becoming a part of a true community, to see regular faces, chat with people and get to know them, and form new friendships, whether virtual or in person. Develop a core group of people who are aligned with your mission or goals, and try to get them to come along for the journey. I isolated myself way too much at times, and coming back to a sense of community will make it much easier to reach your goals and will keep you grounded along the way. You don't need thousands of people, just a few who understand what you're trying to do and are willing to chat with you about it. Money isn't the only thing that matters. This one goes along with what I said about hobbies, but it's simple. Money isn't the only thing that matters. You can chase money, but what's the point of it all if you don't enjoy the process? If I told you that you could change places with Warren Buffett right now, one of the richest people in the world, would you? Because of his money, you'd probably say yes right away. But I mean truly change places. You now also have to be like 180 years old at the end of your life with the responsibilities of a massive Fortune 500 company on your shoulders and the media breathing down your neck at every corner. You can't even go in public without being recognized by some finance bro who's like, yo dude, I watched The Wolf of Wall Street and you're just like so like motivational, bro. And I'm sure your knees probably hurt because you're old. Would you still say yes? Probably not. Life is about more than just the money. Be patient with other people, unless they're bad drivers. People are going through it, dude, same as you. So try to be more patient with those around you, even if they get on your nerves. If you expect people to be patient with you, then you should return the favor for them as well, unless they're a bad driver. Because honestly, bad drivers deserve the hate, so let's normalize being patient with anyone unless they're driving badly. Let's bring back bad driver hate because that's a message I can get behind. Delete dating apps. I think this was supposed to be 10. I don't even know how many I've said now, but I'm pretty sure it's more than 10. But if you know anything about me by now, it's that I hate dating apps. I hate the idea of outsourcing your love life to companies that use algorithms to show you who you can and can't talk to. Companies that steal your data and your vulnerabilities to serve you ads and sell you memberships that make you think you can find the one if you shell out some extra money every single month. Dating apps are a dystopian concept to me, and by relying on them for your entire dating experience, you're losing a fundamental part of what dating is supposed to entail. You are pre-selecting every potential option like you're choosing which Pokemon to battle, and you're trying to craft the perfect girlfriend before you even talk to another person. It's unrealistic, and dating apps are ruining dating even for people who don't use the apps. So delete them, stop trying to take the easy route, and try to meet people in the real world. Your likelihood of forming genuine connections through chats facilitated by these corporations is pretty slim, so don't waste your time on dating apps. And finally, there's nothing wrong with sitting quietly in a room. If you were to tell your friends that you spent the day sitting on your porch silently, what would they think? They'd probably assume you're a psychopath. It's not something that normal people do. I mean, I can't even think of a single person I know who would do something like that. But hey, that's their loss. I heard a saying the other day that the world would be a much better place if more people were comfortable sitting quietly in a room with only their thoughts. It would cause less people to make rash decisions that end up causing many of the world's problems. It would make everyone much more peaceful and much friendlier to each other. Some of the biggest changes in my life that I've made happened after I sat quietly in a room for a bit. I learned a lot about myself and the world around me by doing this, so give it a try. Have you ever actually sat quietly in a room for an hour without entertaining yourself? In your entire life? Probably not, so see if you can do it and watch the thoughts flow. Watch the clarity start to come into your brain in a way that you've never seen before. So slow down, stop and smell the roses, if you want to call it that, and remember that life is something to be lived, not something to rush to the end of. I hope that these things help you because they're things that have shaped me into the person that I've become, and I wish I knew them sooner. Do you have any other tips for things that have helped you? Do you disagree with any of the things that I said in this video? Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today, and we will talk again soon.